And welcome everybody to the Turnbuckle. I'm Logan Morris, whatever you want to call me. I'm what's causing all this, I do suppose. In the producer's chair this week, we have the hottest wheels in motorsport, the man that won't back down. He's the leader of the Flagstaff. He's an icon in his own right. He's macho like a man. And let me tell you something. He's our version of the dapper yapper himself, Travis Gnarly Napper.
He's also deaf when wearing, or not deaf, but blind when wearing these glasses.
Well, it's good to not see you.
I mean, right? Totally. Yeah. Absolutely. How we doing?
I'm doing quite well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well myself. Great day. Should be a fun day. Should be a fun show. Absolutely. It's weird still sitting in this seat, but I love it. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully everything is working out correctly and everything is going smoothly. So
we can only pray and hope.
I agree, sir.
You let me know when the other guy's available.
I believe looks like Jason's not yet.
Okay.
So. I'm here.
So let's.
The other one is here.
First of all, that's rude. That's rude, Ryan. You let me introduce you properly.
Yeah.
All right. Via the Theater People hotline, I do believe, right? Is that correct? Yes. Pay the bills. That's what we got to do. Via the Theater People hotline, I'll tell you who's on the horn. We got two people on the horn. One's available, one is not. Let's start out with the man who's the king of the hill. Some say he's the smartest guy in the room. Some say that. Some say it.
I don't know who.
He's better than you, and he knows it. I'm talking about Ryan, king of the hill. How are you, Ryan?
I'm good. Well, considering the fact that I'm the only man in the room, I guess I would be the smartest man in the room. So I'll take it. But I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Well, sir, we are doing well. Is the other guy available now?
I mean, he looks available. I suppose we should ask him.
McCarthy, are you available?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, in that case, let me introduce the man who puts the AEW in awesome. He's the adult in the Loganity room. He is Father of the Year. He is single like a Pringle, and Lord, does he love to mingle. I'm talking about Jason Big Mac Matt Daddy McCarthy.
How's everybody doing? What's up, Logan Knights? Welcome to another edition of To the Turnbuckle, the newly minted show from Score on Air in association with Bruiser Nation Productions. I am ready for the chaos that is always To the Turnbuckle. How about you guys?
Oh, we are. Oh, baby, I'm ready. Oh, yeah. I'm ready. Well, all right, let's talk about it, boys. There was big news yesterday. Big news. Huge news.
It's huge.
Whoa, easy. There might be children watching. If so,
hello. Pay no attention to half the show.
So, boys, get ready to fly like a peacock because the WWE Network is moving to Peacock beginning on March 18th. All right, let me run it down for you, and then we'll give our thoughts. All pay-per-views and archived footage included. It'll be $4.99 with ads, $9.99 without. Fastlane will be the first pay-per-view on Peacock. Wall Street Journal reported that the deal is worth for WWE a grand total of $1 billion. Holy Moses. 5-year deal. The app is shutting down. See you later. Old school WWE Network, no more. Dr. Evil over there in the house.
$1 billion.
All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and give my thoughts because I'm selfish.
How dare you?
Rude.
Yeah, for 3 hours I get to be rude, thanks.
Oh, cool.
It's kind of my thing.
Kind of a thing.
Would you agree it's my thing?
3 hours? I don't know. Give you a little bit more time than that.
All right. You're counting the pre and post show now. All right, here's my thoughts. Look, on paper, it's a great deal for WWE. There's no denying that. Vince McMahon continues to be one of the most shrewd businessmen on the planet. Look, money is the name of the game for him. Here's my problem. Here's my issue. And I'm excited because I think for the first several months it's going to be great. But I think in the long term, it hurts us as wrestling fans, and I'll tell you why. He's making so much money in spite of a lackluster product that it doesn't matter anymore. He's making $1 billion off this deal. Of course, he's got the great Fox deal. And USA is paying a nice boatload for Raw. And by the way, all those reports of USA apparently being upset with Raw has got to be kind of untrue because it's NBC Universal that bought this damn thing. So here's my thing: we all want a better product. We disagree on how to get there. But we all agree it needs improvements. The problem is Vince is now making so much money it doesn't matter anymore in his mind because Vince hasn't lost the killer instinct for making money, but he has lost the killer instinct as far as being a ratings powerhouse. And so I think this hurts the product in the long run because $1 billion is $1 billion. I think the network will go downhill because I think it'll start out strong because we're going to hype it, we're going to talk about it, we're going to do all those things. I think Legends will be back on TV to hype it here and there like they did to start it 4 or 5 years ago. But I think by 2022 it's on the back burner because for Peacock it's just an asset. For WWE it was everything. The WWE Network, keep in mind, people fought so hard to make that a success, and that includes Vince, but all the people behind the scenes that have busted their ass the last 6 years to make this thing work, they're all losing jobs. He just sells it out from under them. Did we all think a network deal was going to come someday? Yeah, I think all of us can agree on that. Mm-hmm. I was very stunned that it happened in this case because of COVID and all those things. Remember, there was a lot of talk last year before COVID. Boy, those were the days of ESPN Plus. Mm-hmm. And I think this hurts the product overall because he's making so much money that having a crappy product or a lackluster product, not that I think everything is bad that they do, we know that. But overall, there's no denying that creatively he's lost a step. There's no motivation to fix that when you're making $1 billion and expecting record financials in the middle of a pandemic. I'm not talking about record financials for lately. I'm talking about in the history of the entire damn company in the middle of a pandemic. Now I'm going to kick it to Mr. McCarthy. McCarthy, what are your thoughts on going to Peacock? Will you be subscribing? And then plus, what are your thoughts that I'm saying? Will it hurt the product in the long run because Vince is making so much money that the lackluster product doesn't matter? It can be like a conveyor belt. It's all about content these days. You have the floor, Bruiser.
Well, kind of like you said, business-wise, brilliant decision. But I have the same concerns that you do. But first, of course, I'm going to get it. Like, there's other stuff that, USA has made over the years that I fell in love with that, yeah, you can get on Hulu and stuff, but there's some things that you can't. Like, some of Psych isn't all on Hulu. I'm a huge fan of Psych. So that's a secondary reason to finally buy Peacock. And so it's smart on both ends. NBC Universal has the funds to do it, obviously. And they're going to get me to subscribe to it. Even if I didn't watch Psych, I'd do it anyway. But, I've been back and forth like, man, I love Psych, but I'm not buying another streaming service. Now they've just cut out the middleman and they're going to get a whole bunch of subscribers this way. But I have the same concerns you do. If you look at the history from the point that Vince bought WCW to now, when he bought all his competition, the product went down. And it's very well may be the same thing. He just got paid $1 billion. They're talking about documentaries and this, that, and the other, but are we going to get the same type of legitimate content that we have been getting? That's the only concern. Because you're going to get the pay-per-views, you're going to get NXT takeovers, but it's everything that's in between that really matters with the network.
No question about it. Ryan, King of the Hill, what are your thoughts on this deal? Do you have concerns about the future of the product because of it?
Oh, I think you guys are completely spot on. You guys took exactly what I was thinking and said it right there. This is huge for Vince and WWE. Obviously it means they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Not that we really thought they were, but $1 billion is $1 billion, and Vince McMahon is a money genius here. He's going to find ways to make money, whether his product is at possibly the all-time worst we've ever seen it, which, a lot of people would agree. We've lost a lot of people because the product is bad, but here we are. Vince is getting $1 billion deal. He's making more money than he ever has. So why try to change the product. I think we're going to see the same type of stuff where about this time of year, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania season, where it's going to be at its peak. And then after that, it's going to come to like football season, and he's going to be going up against with Monday Night Football, and it's just going to be stale, and we're just going to try to power through. So for content-wise, I don't see it getting any better at this rate. I mean, there's no reason to change things if you're only making more and more money. I mean, that's the art of the business, is to make money, and Vince is making more now, no matter how bad his product is. But yes, I will also be getting the subscription.
Attaboy. You're going to be on this show full time. You have to. It's kind of required.
Exactly.
It's kind of required. Yeah, I'm excited about it in terms of, like, I think it's going to be a big rollout. I really do. I mean, it makes sense. I think you'll see, Hogan pop up for it. Remember when the network started, guys, and they had a bunch of legends pop out here and there just to hype $9.99? Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll see that. I think you'll get a Real American and a big leathery tan promo. It's
You're looking
absolutely.
To it,
He's the immortal. We'll discuss him later. But yeah, I just worry. Let me ask you, and I got to start with you, Napper, because I got to get your thoughts on this deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to add one more question, and then you also give me your thoughts.
Yeah.
Does this mean that the WWE Network was a failure?
I don't think that it means that it was a failure. They just found a way to try to make it more of a success. By itself, it wasn't really a failure. It depends who you ask, though. To them, it probably was a failure. If you look at it from a non-WWE viewpoint, It wasn't a failure. They had a million subscribers?
1.2, something like that, yeah.
That's pretty good. But I guarantee that it didn't meet up to their standards, which is the issue. And that's why you're seeing this move being made. It didn't meet Vince's standards, probably, which is why you saw what happened. But again, like everybody else has been saying, this was a great business decision because essentially Vince now has the potential to gain like 26 million or however many Peacock has at this point. Mm-hmm. They're going to gain so many subscribers because, like he said, people are going to watch whatever they want to watch that's on Peacock already. And now you have WWE on there. Maybe they're flipping through, watching Psych, and all of a sudden they see WrestleMania pops up on their Peacock subscription. And, I'm kind of curious about that wrestling business. Let's see what's going on in that WrestleMania. There you go. Boom. You get a view. So it's a great business decision in terms of that for Vince and everything. I will say I agree also, though, that product-wise, maybe we see a decrease, although
how low can we go?
Right.
Hey.
I'm inclined to think that it's going to stay about the same. And until you see these other companies start picking up the slack and kind of presenting a challenge, I don't think, like you said, how much lower can we go? There's really no floor left to hit. I say that.
We think.
I hope and pray. But I don't think it's going to get that much worse because I don't think that's the goal.
So it is going to get worse.
It's going to get worse. I don't think that's the goal, though. I don't think at any point they want to make it any worse. And I really don't think that they're going to try to make it any worse because, yeah, they're going to do the documentaries and stuff like that. But they are still trying in certain points to make the product good. It's just other points they make it very, very bad. But it's not as if they're completely not trying to make good content. It's just the overall majority feels like they haven't made good content, at least for Raw and sometimes SmackDown.
A few comments to get here. Colton Smith says, I think it's a good move and they made a good decision. Thank you, Colton Smith, for watching. We do appreciate it. Give us a like. Give us a share. Christopher Brown, longtime fan. He said, as soon as WWE stopped with their own original programming and started relying on other companies' video libraries for content, I knew they were in trouble. Yeah, because it takes away that killer instinct. You know, when you're not fighting for survival anymore, it's easy to kind of get in a bit of a lull. I have never denied that creatively Vince is in a low light. I've never I'll defend Vince till held him back, but I'm not denying creatively he's a low light. But again,
well, that was the appeal of the network because you had shows like Legends House. Everybody loved Legends House that I know.
Yeah,
I thought it was fun. Now, granted, I get it. You can't do that all the time.
we could.
But yeah, maybe.
Why didn't we do more seasons of that?
Hell of
The fact that they didn't do a season 2 with Ric Flair in Legends House is a completely missed opportunity.
But like Table of Three, have you watched that? I love Table of Three. They need to keep doing stuff like that, but they stopped doing that, and then they took away Stone Cold Podcast the first time around. It was like that dropped off a whole bunch of people because they loved that podcast.
That's my favorite thing.
So I mean, he's definitely right. Once they stopped doing all the original stuff that they were doing, the network kind of lost its intrigue because, like, yeah, you could watch old pay-per-views, but
What do you got against the archive footage?
Nothing against the archive footage, but
Easy there, pal.
it was different stuff whenever they had the original program.
So I think I know where Travis is going, maybe with the archive footage, like, because there's so much wrestling on right now that you really got to be in the mood to be like, oh yeah, I want to watch some WrestleMania from 15 years ago. Like, it's got to hit you and you got to like hop on and do it right away before something else grabs your attention, because there's so much other content out there, whether it's wrestling related or not.
You're not wrong. I actually have to admit something to you boys. As much as I talk about the old days, right? The Hulkster and Flair in its prime and those things, right? It has probably been months, not years, months, certainly months, since I've sat down and watched an old pay-per-view just for the sake of, because there's so much wrestling. How in the world can we possibly do how can I enjoy your service when you keep flooding my ass with the modern day product?
Sometimes you got to go back and watch the old days just to enjoy what we used to have.
I'm not sure you understand what we used to have.
Or you could just watch new.
All right, now we're getting out of hand.
All right.
Now we're getting
AJ Appeal says, I wish I could get $1 billion. I'll give you my entire YouTube library and can guarantee I'll lower the quality of other things I upload moving forward. I see what you did there, AJ. I see what you did there. Unfortunately, you're not as shrewd as one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. You know, Napper, you mentioned WrestleMania, so it's time to segue. It's time to talk about WrestleMania. This year's WrestleMania. That's right, there's going to be one. 2 nights. Again, more content. April 10th, April 11th. See you on that Saturday and Sunday, boys.
I totally planned that.
Yeah. Geniuses. So here's the scoop, and I'm going to tell you, boys and girls. Reportedly, according to Meltzer and WrestleVotes on Twitter, and they've broken a lot of things in the past.
Uncle Dave?
Uncle Dave.
Sweet.
WrestleVotes on Twitter. Now, again, do they get everything right? Do they get everything right? No. But they've broken a lot of things in the past. They are reporting that no top matches, and again, we are 1 week from February, are locked in for WrestleMania. Goldberg and Cena are near locks to wrestle. The Rock is unlikely, and I'll be doggone if somebody isn't TBD that shouldn't be TBD. The Undertaker is TBD. 2 nights. AJ says, Logan said ass on air. I have bingo. Well, I can say ass. I can't say ass
other
put
things
into a hole. I can't combine the word and hole. Can't do that. So anyway,
that was clever.
All right. Creative is looking at 4 big matches, 2 for each night. What are your thoughts if you buy this rumor? I'll start with you, Napper. Mm-hmm. Number 1, do you buy this rumor? And if so, what are your thoughts on the fact we got no top matches locked in and we're 1 week from February? Number 2, I have to, of course, ask, what are your thoughts that The Undertaker sounds like a question mark when he ought to be a damn period? And like I said, first tell me if you buy this rumor. WrestleVotes is broken a lot in the past.
Yeah.
All right, so lay it on me. You have the floor.
I do buy the rumor, and I don't think anybody should be shocked by that rumor because, to be perfectly honest, I don't blame them. If they don't have a top main event planned by this point, I don't really blame them because, yeah, it's almost February, but at the same time, We don't know what's going to happen in February. We don't know what's going to happen in March. We damn sure don't know what's going to happen in April. So I'm not surprised that they don't know what's going to happen because I don't know what's going to happen. And so these things are going to fluctuate. They don't know what talent they're going to have, who they're not going to have. Somebody could get injured. Yeah, you could plan a match out, but if you're going to get fans at some point, and there's a lot of hope that they're going to try to get fans in Tampa, you want your biggest players on that stage. So I'm not surprised at all that they are just kind of flying by the seat of their pants on this one until they get a little bit closer. I'm sure once we get past Royal Rumble, you'll hear that they've got some things planned. And I'm sure even though it says they don't have anything locked, it doesn't mean they don't have anything planned. They just don't have anything concrete set up, which, to be honest, when have they ever? As far as the Taker thing, are we really shocked?
No.
To be perfectly honest,
no.
are we shocked?
No.
Heck no. Because it's The Undertaker. We've said this time and time again on this show repeatedly. Never say never. We don't know if he's actually going to retire. And maybe, sort of, maybe, kind of, he's retired. I'm not shocked. I'll be very surprised if he does actually show up because I do honestly believe that he feels this is it. And if you listen to an interview that he did recently on the Joe Rogan podcast, he even says he's done his time. So I believe that he is done. But again, Vince can be very convincing. So who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? We'll see on all those things. We shall see.
We shall see.
We shall see.
Shall see.
Here's the thing. I'm not stunned by it by any stretch because when you have 2 nights, you have to fill. Plus, I got to tell you, I think the Peacock deal makes it more likely that he wrestles again. Because you're going to want a big blowout on the first Mania. But let's go to Ryan, King of the Hill.
I'm with you guys. I'm not surprised.
Or do you buy this rumor, first of all?
Yeah, I buy this rumor. I don't think that they have anything locked in plan right now. I mean, COVID's going on. We're still living through this pandemic. So we just saw they put Goldberg versus McIntyre face-to-face, and then 2-3 days later we get the news that McIntyre tests positive for COVID. So, I mean, it puts a lot on them to try and plan something months in advance because you don't know who you're going to have come April. So, I mean, it's going to take time for them to plan this card, just like last year, because we don't know what's going on. We don't know what world we're going to be living in one day to the next anymore. So I agree with Travis. I think they have plenty of ideas in the back of their mind, but I don't know what they're going to go with, and I don't think they know exactly what they're going with right now due to the fact of the world we're living in. That's why I think this weekend's Royal Rumble is huge, just because I'm actually interested in what they're going to do. I have no clue what they're going to do this time now. It's interesting for once, I mean, in the past couple of years. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't see Taker coming back this year. I think he's going to at least try and set out this one because he's going to try and stick to it that I'm really done. And so I think we don't get Taker this year like some of us are wanting.
Mr. McCarthy, what are your thoughts on this rumor? Do you buy it? Lay it on me.
So yeah, I mean, everything's in pencil right now for WrestleMania, guaranteed. For all the reasons you guys said, we have COVID. You don't know who's going to be available. But if I was booking WrestleMania, you already have 2 matches lined up. The title matches are big matches, no matter how you slice it, especially with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre as the champions right now. This is how I would fantasy book it. So one, I do something that we've never gotten to see. The star of WCW, Goldberg, versus the star of TNA, AJ Styles, at the Showcase of the Immortals. And then give me Cena and Edge one more time. That's how I would fantasy book those 2 nights of WrestleMania.
Vince needs to get you on the phone right now.
Dude, take my money.
I've said that many times. Like, I would, okay, give it here. I got Venmo. It's Venmo.
There you
That's
go.
what it's called.
We're hoping to someday be sponsored by Venmo.
I don't think Taker's going to wrestle. I think Taker feels like he's just done. I think he's enjoying what he's doing now, being able to, be with his family. I've said that before, but also just kind of do the interview rounds that he never really got to do as the character, the Undertaker. Now he gets to go out and be Mark Calloway and give his opinion and, be on Joe Rogan and a bunch of other shows that being the Undertaker really didn't allow him because he lived the gimmick. I mean, when this guy was hurt, he'd have groceries delivered to his house just to keep the gimmick.
Got to keep the gimmick. Well,
keep the gimmick, brother.
Christopher Brown says Dwayne won't face Roman until Mania in Hollywood, if even then. I'm with you, Christopher. It's got to work for Dwayne's schedule. Sellout son of a... that's how it is.
Ooh, hey, that's my
Christopher
guy.
Brown says, I trust wrestler votes more than I do Meltzer. Amen, brother. Amen. Uncle Dave gets as much wrong as he does right. I want to go ahead and talk about The Undertaker. This isn't on the rundown, but as you know, I really don't give a damn about the rundown. It's more formality. I want to talk about The Undertaker. I wanted to point out that I am extremely disappointed in that not so young man. He went on the Joe Rogan Experience and to be fair, was asked his opinion on the modern day WWE product and some of the things he misses about the olden days. And he said that he thinks the product is a little soft now, and he said he'd probably piss a lot of people off with that. Now I want to make clear that I'm paraphrasing. That's not a direct quote. Don't have it in front of me. But we got a lot of talk this week, didn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of talk. And here's why I'm disappointed in it. And I love Mark Calloway. I love The Undertaker. I think he should be entitled to do whatever he damn well wants. Here's why I take issue, and I feel I'd be unfair to not address this. He talks about this era being soft and kind of smirking and laughing off video games, being in the locker room and missing those olden days. And for the first time, at least from a public standpoint, he sounded old and out of touch. Completely, he sounded like an old, bitter vet. He sounded like Bret Hart. He sounded like Goldberg. He sounded like Hogan. Someone that doesn't understand that times have changed, and mostly they've changed for the better. And he called the product nowadays soft, and creatively, I can't deny that, but here's why I find it to be a little tough on his part to say such a thing. As far as the product goes, no one in the last decade of this PG era has been propped up more than The Undertaker besides Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and John Cena. Undertaker's been made to look like a mythical god in this modern soft product. And here's my problem with it. He set the bar so high. He was the one that didn't do those things. Is he entitled to his opinion? Yes. I'll have you know that me and McCarthy disagreed heavily on this. He's entitled to his opinion, absolutely. He's busted his ass for 30 years and deserves to be out of touch if that's what he so desires to be. The problem is he set the bar so high. But I think he failed at his new role, which is mostly, we think, WWE ambassador. Why do I feel that way, people? Because Undertaker's all about giving back. That's what he's about for the most part. Now we can agree to disagree on if he's been booked properly, if he should have beat Styles or Shane or whoever. But in his head, it's all about giving back. Well, do you know what a casual fan or an old-time fan sees when they see those comments or those headlines? They say, see, even The Undertaker thinks WWE sucks now. I'm not saying he's not entitled to his opinion. I'm saying that out of respect for his position in the company, as to our knowledge, an ambassador, kind of a Ric Flair type role, he shouldn't be saying those things publicly because it makes the company look bad. Could it be true? Absolutely. I'm not denying that, but I'm saying if his job is to give back, why would an old-time fan even look at the modern-day product when The Undertaker thinks it's the drizzling poos? You know what I mean? He owes it to the company a little bit to, I'm not saying lie, but don't be like, well, hey, it's soft, and the way he kind of painted it really is tough to watch now. And even if that's true, you owe it to You owe it to Vince to, number one, share that with him. Number two, you owe it to the guys that have kissed your hind in the last decade to not go out publicly like that. Because that's not what an ambassador for the company does. If he was not under the umbrella, it'd be a little different. But this is the guy that always gives back and wants to give back to the product. Well, giving back also goes further than just being on TV. It goes to tell people why they should watch this product. He didn't tell me anything good about the product. He told me plenty bad. Tell me how they're better athletes than you ever were. Tell me how Drew McIntyre is as good in the ring as you ever were. Tell me that. Tell me something positive. Because you know who gets it down these days? And I know it's because he needs a check. Ric Flair gets it down these days. Ric Flair will give his opinion, but then he will always roundabout back to a positive. He will give his opinion, and maybe sometimes his opinion isn't truthful because of that, but it's a way to give back to these guys that bust their ass to carry the torch. And if he was just anybody else, I wouldn't care. But he's the one that set the bar so high. He's the one that criticized Hogan for talking negatively. He's the one that always made sure to carry that torch and represent the company in the right way. I'm not saying that he failed the company. I'm saying he failed to be a proper ambassador, because whether he's an active competitor or under a Legends deal, you still work for him. And these guys that you just called soft kiss your ass every single year to make you look great, to make you look as great as they can, to make you look like God. Nothing short of it. And so that is really, I think, a failure on his part. He's entitled to his opinion, but it needs to be expressed to Vince McMahon and the roster in private. It's like you don't want an ex-girlfriend going out and saying, well, we da-da-da-da-da-da, and she never told you. Maybe he has told Vince. But even then, he owes it to Vince. And again, more importantly, because maybe he owes Vince nothing, and you'd be correct about that. But he does owe it to the entire roster that has spent the last decade making up for his shaky performances. Not that he hadn't earned the right to be shaky, to not go out and be and chastise the product and call them soft and not say anything positive about what is currently going on with the WWE. Because is there a lot to not like? Yeah, we talk about that every week. But even McCarthy and I, we'll debate all day long about what's good and bad about WWE or AEW. But you know what? By the end of the day, we have said plenty of good and plenty of bad about both companies each and every week. We'll tell you what's good. We'll tell you what's bad. He didn't do that. That's why I'm upset about it. Anyone got any comments on that, or you want to move along?
Well, I mean, you kind of hit everything. I think where he's lacking is, which is probably going to irritate people that are watching, I don't think he watches the product. Like, yeah, there's some softness to some of the guys, but I mean, really, like Timothy Thatcher, Tommaso Ciampa, Pete Dunne, Finn Balor, they're soft. Drew McIntyre's soft. Like, he's entitled to his opinion, but I think you hit the nail on the head where he was just negative about it and didn't give anybody any props at all. Like, they work a stiff style that Undertaker only worked with a few guys. These guys are working this style night in and night out, 300 days a year and a half ago. Now it's probably 250, but I think you're right. Like, yeah, we disagreed heavily when it first came out, but if you're not going to give, the devil its due, if you will, to the guys that are out there. I mean, Roman Reigns, you can't call Roman Reigns soft. It's the best character he's ever had right now. He's half of the reason people watch SmackDown right now. Now, are there some guys that have a little too much fun? Sure. But, I mean, it's pro wrestling, so big deal. And, I mean, if he's got an issue with video games in the locker room.
I'd rather have video games and syringes.
That's what I was just going to say. Like, these guys are going to live so much longer than all of his friends that he's lost along the way, because they're in their hotel room playing video games when they were out on the town till 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
Did he actually say he had a problem
partying it up, doing God knows what? And then, wrestling, they were fine wrestling, but I mean, that breaks down your body alone. You're getting 4 hours of sleep, and your body has to recover from partying all night, and then you got to turn around and do it 15, 20-minute match in front of tens of thousands of people, I mean, their careers are going to last longer than any of his friends would because of the decisions they're making. They'd rather sit in the hotel room and have fun with all their buddies and do, YouTube streams and Twitch streams or whatever they're doing instead of partying it up all night long.
Well, it is what it is. Here's my thing. Here's the last thing I'll kind of suggest, and then I'll get to what you were asking. If this era is so bad and this era is so soft and we have plenty of complaints, this era gave you, at least, we'll see if it ends up being your last match, but it ended up giving him a match that he was finally satisfied with to walk away. And this is a guy that's been hinting at or trying to retire since like 99. So, yeah, that was when the first rumors of him retiring started, like 1999. And so what he said about video games was that he didn't say he disliked them, but he was like he missed the era of men being men. He was like, men were men back then. He goes, now you see video games in the locker room and everybody's all pretty and, the old school days. It was basically your classic boomer wrestling comment. And it's not that he's not entitled to his opinion. It's, again, and I think some of it is his own fault because if Hogan had said this, we wouldn't be talking about it. We wouldn't be talking about it because Hogan hasn't set the bar so high. Taker has set his bar so high that for people like me, that this matters and upsets me. Where when Hogan says something, I don't give a damn what Hogan says if it's negative or positive because Hogan doesn't have a high bar. Like, I'll be like, he's Hulk Hogan. I don't give a damn. But the Undertaker has made sure to give back and do things the right way. Hulk Hogan's never lied to you about that. He's always said, I'll get back under the right circumstances. That's the same reason I kind of defend Bill Goldberg. Because Goldberg doesn't really lie to you about, I'm going to give back. I'm not calling Taker a liar, but I'm saying when you say those things, that puts you to a higher standard. Goldberg and Hogan always are like, yeah, I'll give back under what I consider to be the right circumstances. Yeah. And if Taker was that way, then I probably wouldn't give it to him. But Taker's always like, well, I want to give back and pay it forward and make sure that this company's good to go for the next decade. And whether that's as an in-ring competitor or as an ambassador, I think he owes it to that group of guys to at least put in some positives. Talk about how AJ Styles, like, yes, you said it on a WWE Network documentary, but say it to Joe Rogan that AJ Styles is as good as Shawn Michaels was. So sell me some of the guys because that's what Flair does. Flair will be asked his opinion and he'll kind of hem-haw. But then he'll go, but the guys are so athletic now, and he'll list off a bunch of names. Now, is that because he needs a check? Probably. But still, that's the way I think you should do it. Now, if you're not working for WWE, it's a little different. But he is working for WWE, whether it be as a Legends deal or as an active competitor. We'll see what his future holds there. And so that's what I take issue with. But no, he didn't say he had a problem with video games, but he gave
I was going to say, because during his time, they were still playing video games.
But he gave one of those men were men. The dressing room was, and it just...
To me, I actually do partially agree with him, though. I really do. And it's not the, men were men comment, not any of that. The soft comment, I think, to a degree was taken out of context, but at the same time, he could have said it better. I do agree that this product is a little bit soft, and it's not because of the backstage stuff. It's more the in-ring stuff. And yes, they're going 300 some days. Really, though, they're not going as much as that era did. That era went 24/7, 365, almost 365 days a year. So I can understand why he thinks it's a little bit soft, because they are not even remotely working the similar kind of schedule that his era worked. But at the same time, to me, where I thought he was coming across when he made mention that it was soft is the in-ring style. And yeah, they're working at a more physical standpoint, but they're not really working smarter, and they're really not working as stiff as we would probably like them to. They're not laying their stuff in. It's all flips. When we've said this consistently. It's flippy, too much, all the time. They're really not working to work a match. They're working to work the spots. Now, there are some not examples. There are some exceptions to the rule. Roman Reigns is definitely one of them. He's definitely gotten beyond the soft era. But I definitely think there are plenty of cases where everyone's trying so hard to get themselves over instead of actually getting the match over. They're not really being as physical as they could be. They're really not working up to a match. They're just kind of flipping around. And especially with some of these matches, you're seeing like false finish after false finish after false finish after finishers. I should not see wrestlers getting up after finishers 20 times in a match, and yet it happens almost every single pay-per-view. So I can understand to agree to where he's coming from. I agree with you guys to an extent that he does. He probably should have said it better, and he probably should have done it in a way that he could have given praise to some of the guys that are doing it, in, at least in his mind, the right way. But I do agree with him to a degree, because I feel like there are so many times where guys just aren't really trying to make the match great. They're really trying to just look great. They're not really putting a lot of effort into the actual match. They're just trying to get the spot over and be soft and not really make an effort to make it look believable.
You know, I think that's fair, but again, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
That's fair.
And he has said before that, you know, he thinks the modern day product is too flipping. They don't tell enough stories. But he usually always just says that in a constructive way.
Well, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Here with Rogan, and I know Rogan is who he is, and maybe a couple beverages were flying. The thing about it is you're on the biggest podcast in the world. Joe Rogan's what we want to be, folks. He's the biggest podcast in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you to, and for those that haven't seen those other appearances, those other podcast things that are more in the wrestling niche or on the WWE Network, where he gives that same kind of criticism, but then usually kind of comes back around to, but we got this guy and this guy. For him to do that on that big of a platform is where I feel he dropped the ball. Ryan, I'm going to let you have last word on this one. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for some of it, he's out of line. I think this, like you mentioned, Logan, this should have been a conversation that he had with Vince. You know, him and Vince go way back. They're basically best friends, basically family at this rate. Vince has done so much for him, and Taker's done so much for him. So I think at the end of the day, he at least owes it to Vince to say this stuff to him. I mean, even if he is right about it, I mean, there's better ways to go about saying it on, as you said, the biggest podcast in the world right now, what we're all striving to be. But I'll keep it short here. What I hope this does is lights a fire under this young talent's ass and makes them do better. I mean, make this product better. Go out there and prove Undertaker wrong, the top guy probably of all time, that this isn't a soft product anymore. Like what we're doing is what you did, just different now. It's a new time. It's a new age. Like we got to move on with the times. So hopefully this ignites the younger talent and they reach for that brass ring that we all talk about and go for it now even more, especially heading into WrestleMania season, which is Undertaker's baby.
I wholeheartedly agree. I hope so. Time will tell if the Undertaker will be a part of this year's WrestleMania in an in-ring capacity. We shall see. With that, what we're going to do is we're going to take our first break right here on To the Turnbuckle. And then when we come back, we got to talk about another veteran. Not potentially getting back in the ring. He is getting back in the ring. We're talking about the Icon Sting. We're talking about AEW. Mr. McCarthy is grinning ear to ear, I am sure, like the Grinch when he figures out his plan. So with that, this is To the Turnbuckle, presented by Mojo Sports Gear. We'll be right back. Don't move, because when we come back, it's time to talk a little Dynamite.
I just wanted to play.
I just want to play. I just want to play. I just want to play.
Play.
Along the way, I'm learning
Sportsmanship.
teamwork,
How to work hard. Discipline.
hustle,
Sacrifice.
how to be a leader.
Dedication.
I just want to play.
And along the way, I'm learning to put the team before myself. To put the team before myself. How to be a student.
How to be a student.
I'm learning to set a good example.
How to work hard.
To accept responsibility.
That I represent my...
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Ohio. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
In sports, you want to have a player that can get the job done right every time. A real all-star, somebody that's dependable and you can turn to when the game is tough. That player in the audio-video industry is the theater. From setting up your home's Wi-Fi network and offices, conference rooms, to setting up home theater inside or outside, to setting up the systems to make your home run smarter and safer as well. The theater people can do it all with the quality of professionalism you can expect every single time. That isn't just a great all-around player, that is an all-star. That is why we are the leaders in audiovisual installation in Central Ohio. So call us at 614-604-6327. Or check out our website at ttpcolumbus.com to figure out which products will fit you. And don't forget, amplify your personality with the theater.
Do you have design ideas for t-shirts but you're not sure where to go? Go to Mojo Sports Gear. That's right, Mojo Sports Gear. At Mojo Sports Gear, you can get custom-made shirts. Whatever design you need, Mojo Sports Gear can provide it. Don't forget to grab a custom-made cap on your way out and rock the best headgear in the game. Give them a call at 614-864-6656. That's 614-864-6656. And welcome back, everybody, to the Turnbuckle. Let's step back into the ring here, and now let's talk a little Dynamite. So I know McCarthy is grinning ear to ear. I'm sure he has just got oodles of opinions on this week's Dynamite. I thought it was a pretty solid show, really. I didn't. There's a couple booking decisions I didn't like. I'm being facetious. Thanks. Okay. Yeah. I was just making sure. You did. Oh, don't tell McCarthy you didn't like it.
It's okay. He didn't either.
This Dynamite was shaky, boys. Shaky. Real shaky. Like, Vince McMahon's got the pen shaky. All right. So let's start out by talking about the icon, Sting. By the way, I love that now WWE is trying to call Goldberg the icon. Yeah. Yeah, so it's weird. It's just weird. All right. So we have the icon Sting and the other icon Goldberg. So let's talk about the icon Sting. He is returning to the ring at Revolution in a tag team street fight with Darby Allin against Team Taz, Ricky Starks, and Brian Cage. Let's unpack that first. Okay. A lot to unpack here. All right. So what do you think about the fact that we finally have a direction of where Sting's going to go? And I got to ask, the age-old question has become very common in the last year or two. Will it be a cinematic match? McCarthy, for obvious reasons, I'm going to start with you.
So, I'm glad they have given us a direction, because I wouldn't say I was getting tired of seeing Sting every week, but it was getting to a point where it was like, okay, he's coming out every week. Where are we going with this? And I think a tag team match is the right way, but not cinematically, like, at all. I don't think that's the right move. I think the right way to use Sting is in a tag team match so he doesn't have to do everything. And there's 3 other guys that can take a brunt of the work because we don't know how injured. He's obviously healthy enough to wrestle. He's cleared. He's good. But how much can his body actually take? And if you want to use him throughout his entire contract, you have to put him in matches. matches. I think it's smart booking this way. Do I think it's going to put Darby Allin where they want him? I don't think so. I think Darby Allin needs to maybe have Sting in his corner while he's TNT champion, but the focus is kind of coming off of Darby Allin and his TNT championship and being put onto Sting. We need Darby to get over. We need Darby to defend the championship and keep getting over. We need more of that than the tag match. Am I excited? Am I going to tune into Revolution? Of course. But I don't want to see them tagging over and over and over again. Use Sting in small doses in matches like this, but the focus can't be taken off Darby Allin. And that's what I'm a little bit worried about with this tag match, because there's that group of fans that love Darby Allin. I mean, Logan, you're one of those fans that love Darby Allin. But I'm worried because it's wrestling, and wrestling fans are fickle. We're super happy that Sting's back, but are now all these wrestling fans that maybe, oh my God, my childhood heroes on AEW, I'm watching AEW now. Are they going to be paying attention to Sting or Darby Allin? That's the question that I have. That's what I'm concerned about. Are the fans that tuned back in going to be like, oh yes, oh who's this skinny, face painted dude because he's not jacked in a match with a bunch of jacked dudes, and old school wrestling fans that have left wrestling that would tune into this. I'm worried that Darby could get lost in the shuffle.
I have to agree with you, because I think he will, because when I think about this match, and I love Darby Allin, I think he is a future world champion, sooner the better. But in this match, especially because it's going to be Sting's first match since Night of Champions 2015, whatever year.
Yeah.
Might have been 2016, I don't know.
I think it was 16.
Whatever the...
Might have been 16, I don't remember either.
He's a footnote. Everybody is irrelevant except Sting in this match. And that's the opposite of what you want. Now, can you survive it for one match? Absolutely. But they've done such a slow burn, too slow in my opinion, and they've never established enough of a reason of why we started last week to establish why Sting is fascinated with Darby and wants to kind of take him under the wing. But then Taz interrupts too quickly. Why didn't we let Sting talk for 5 minutes first and really get to the crux of what he likes about Darby and put him over? Put him over because again, and I'm not saying this to you guys, but for those of people that either didn't watch Impact or didn't watch it when it was at its time, this isn't Sting who's cutting 2 3-minute promos anymore. Sting could go out, and I've seen him go out and go back and forth for 10 minutes with a guy in Impact. He did it with Hogan. He did it with Bischoff. He did it with Samoa Joe, Robert Roode. He did it time and time again. This is not 1998. Let Sting have a little time to tell the story, because we're never letting him have time to tell the story. We're taking too long to do the entrance every damn week. We're taking too long to do the Tony and it's Sting thing. It's... Let's not get so caught up in the nostalgia, which I know that's hypocritical of me saying.
You love it.
Let's get to why he's here now. We all know about 1998. So I thought that the problem was Taz cut him off too soon. I'm sure that was the plan, but I'm saying why not give Sting 5 minutes to put the hell over Darby Allin? Because Darby Allin is the future of this business, and that's the way it ought to be. This guy could, because he reminds me so much of a Surfer Sting, or much more like a Jeff Hardy in 2008, 2009. This guy has got it in spades. And I understand him getting overshadowed for this match. It's Sting's big return, first match for AEW. But the problem is, how do you get him out of that shadow? So this had better, especially with the way this is going. Because Sting can't really play a heel. This needs to lead to sometime down the line, Sting versus Darby Allin, Darby Allin wins. That's the only way you get him out of the shadow. It's the only way, in my opinion.
Did we turn Darby heel?
I think so, because Sting is always rough as a heel. He never commits to it, and again, and as a believer, folks, I'm I'm a believer in the good old Jesus Christ. I really am. But he and Shawn Michaels have the same problem. Since they found Jesus, they have trouble playing bad guys. Because some of it goes against their faith. So, God's sake, put down your pitchfork.
Plus, I think it would make sense. Either way you turn this, if you want to try to get Sting to turn heel, that makes sense. You could say that Darby Allin's trying to rip off his character, stuff like that. On the flip side, you could have Darby Allin turn to get Sting because Sting keeps coming to his rescue, and at some point, that's probably got to get a little bit annoying. Like, hey, dude, I don't need your old you-know-what's help.
Yeah, like, mother, you're 61 years old with a bad neck, spinal stenosis.
I've got a skateboard. I think I'm okay. So, yeah.
And so yeah, absolutely. Look, it's too late. The horse has left the barn. He is going to get overshadowed because I think I'm the biggest Darby Allin fan on this show, and I have to tell you I don't care about Darby Allin in this match. It's about Sting. It's about his return to the ring. First time for AEW. This is special. Problem is, you want this to be a one-time thing. Not him wrestling, but him overshadowing everybody else. Because Brian Cage is great. Ricky Starks is great. Darby Allin is damn good. And we're all going to be talking about Sting. And that's a tribute to him, but it's not what those guys deserve.
The other problem with this is it's a street fight, right? So what does Darby Allin get the most talk for? He does really crazy, insane stunts. So what's going to get people talking about Darby Allin? Some crazy, stupid, insane stunt that probably is likely going to get him killed. That's the only way Darby Allin can get through this with his name being the one everyone talks about, is if he almost dies.
I think this is going to be a cinematic match.
I don't think it will. I think you have to tape it, though, and you got to tape it like they did the Best Friends versus Proud and Powerful. I think you got to kind of shoot it like that, because that wasn't really a cinematic match, and kind of like what they did with it was in NXT, but what was it? I can't remember that. It was Johnny and Ciampa and Johnny. Yeah,
the final battle.
Yeah,
empty arena.
Where it wasn't too cinematic, just cinematic enough, but they got through it and it didn't look that bad. You definitely don't want to make this too cinematic. I agree with you. But I do think that they need to probably tape it. So the way to get around that, I think, is to do it in a way like they've done with the Proud and Powerful and the Best Friends, where that was a pretty good-looking match. I don't know if that was actually taped or not. It kind of looked like it a little bit. But I think you got to go something like that. Or maybe like the Stampede match, because that really didn't look that overproduced. But it was still in the background and kind of stuff like that. So there's ways to get around this. They'll figure it out.
All right, Ryan, what do you think? What are your thoughts on Sting return to the ring?
I mean, obviously, like everybody else, I'm excited to see Sting in the back in the ring. I mean, it's Sting. Obviously, we want to see him wrestle again. But I think that ever since he came back, as McCarthy stated, it was like we knew he was back kind of for Darby Allin because like the styles kind of mesh a little bit here. So that's who he was back for. But we couldn't get to the point. And like you said, Logan, I mean, we were getting to that point, it seemed, this past Wednesday night on Dynamite. And then Taz just comes out in like the first 5 seconds and just interrupts it. So I was like, let Sting at least get 1 to 2 minutes in so we know what he thinks of Darby Allin besides him coming to his rescue every week. But I think he's completely overshadowing Darby Allin because he still hasn't got what he thinks of Darby Allin. We know that he, I guess, respects him because he comes out and has his back week in and week out, but we don't know what exactly Sting is completely thinking, and that's taken away from Darby because at the end of the day, the only person we look at this card and know who's in the match is Sting because it's Sting. But I do think this is the perfect match for him to be in. I don't think it's really going to be a cinematic match. I think we're going to go along what Travis said here, how we seen the Gargano and Ciampa match that they had. So I think it's going to work out well for them. It's going to be entertaining. I know I can't wait to see it, but I really hope that this does wonders for Darby because, as you mentioned, he is a future world champion. This guy, he can lead the AEW brand.
I think with a lot of time and effort, he can get AEW to the point that they're beating Raw in the 18 to 49 demo. I really believe that. Yeah. I have a ton of faith in Darby Allin.
I believe that
as long as he doesn't do it and kill himself in the ring.
Absolutely.
Dude, as long as you put him and MJF in a feud, you're right, Logan. Because they're the future of that
this
company.
Whole damn business.
Like we have yeah, they truly are. They really exude everything that we have loved about wrestling for, well, I mean, my 3 decades of
only 3.
Wrestling.
I thought it was at least 6. Son of a... I thought it was at least 6. Holy damn. Yeah.
But I'm counting down the days to the Darby and MJF.
Darby is everything that Darby's everything I like about wrestling. Yes, he's good enough in the ring, but he's got a story. His character has a story. He's unique. He's different.
And if you put him with MJF, that brings up the psychology of it too, because they're both really good at storytelling in the ring and stuff like that. So I definitely enjoy that.
I hope it happens. I hope it happens sooner rather than later.
Amen to that.
All right. So Revolution is reportedly being moved to March 7th because they're wanting to avoid conflicting with one of the Paul brothers who's fighting on pay-per-view on, like, whatever day the Revolution was originally scheduled for.
Oh, yeah. Jake Paul is supposed to fight some UFC fighter.
Who in the hell gives a damn?
Apparently Jake Paul and his fans, if there are any left.
Like...
Oh, sorry.
I think one of them are fighting Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition sometime, and I'll be interested in that because I think Floyd would kick their ass. But I said ass again.
Hope so.
Take a shot.
But of Mountain Dew.
Yes.
So yeah, Revolution reportedly moved. Do you like that, McCarthy? Do you think that's good for the product or bad for the product with Revolution reportedly moved back a couple weeks?
I don't think it's terrible for the product. It gives them a little bit more time to go ahead and like develop a few more stories because, I mean, you're getting to a point where some of your stories are about to come to a head this week. Some of your stories are about to come to a head at Beach Bash. And I think that's just a rumor with the whole Jake Paul boxing thing because they're not even like competing for the same demo when you talk about YouTubers and their fans and pro wrestling fans. Yeah, the ages are going to overlap. The age demo always does. But I don't see any pro wrestling fan going, you know what? Revolution's on. We're going to go watch this YouTube jackass box somebody. And yeah, I know I'm usually supportive of people from Ohio, but not this guy, okay? So it doesn't bother me. For me, it's like, oh, good. I get to go another week without spending $50. This is great. So for me, I was almost kind of excited. Like, ooh, I don't have to spend $50 in February because I just bought TNA's pay-per-view. So I'm like, oh, good. This gives me more time to not spend money. So that's always exciting for me personally.
That's what I was excited about with the Peacock deal because I thought, as soon as I saw the headline, I was like, I'll bet you it's a price increase. And I'm like, oh, wait, no price increase?
I thought the same thing.
And I mean, if you don't mind ads, you're actually taking half the price.
Ads can kiss the fattest part of my hind end. I'm paying $9.99. I don't want any ads.
I mean, I said that too.
I don't want any ads.
Agreed.
All right, so the show kicked off with Brody Lee Jr. -1 having their birthday celebration. I'm going to ask something controversial, folks.
Oh, jeez.
Controversial.
What else is new?
I am not trying to be a jerk when I ask this. I promise. I mean it. I swear to God. I swear on my love of Johnny Cash.
Oh, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, where's this going? He's apologizing
Is it
first.
getting to the point where it's just obvious that we're feeling sorry for Brody Lee Jr.?
I mean, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
McCarthy, am I horrible?
I mean, I wouldn't say you're horrible. There's definitely that.
That's the first time I've ever felt horrible for saying something on this show.
So,
usually it's afterwards.
But obviously, as tight-knit as AEW is, of course they feel sorry for the kid. Why wouldn't they? They all loved Brody Lee, and from all intents and purposes, they loved his family. So of course they feel sorry for him. They're trying to help him through the most difficult thing an 8-9-year-old kid could go through the only way they know how. So of course they feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for the kid. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Look, I'm even wearing the Exalted in Heaven shirt that I got in the mail.
Was sporting it too last week.
He was.
Exactly. Like they and how can you not? This kid is doing something that, I mean, not only dealing with the loss of his dad, but there's, 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old men and women that wouldn't have the guts to go out on live television and
more
talk.
Entertaining than Marco.
So you got it.
Amen.
That's
You're not wrong, isn't he?
I'll take a Brody Lee Jr. match before I take it on the Marco one. I mean that.
Thank you.
And as far as the celebration goes, like, that's just good old, old-fashioned pro wrestling fun right there. That was great. I know Mark Henry was a little upset that they smashed the cake, but, I mean, even he
was
loved
upset,
the
too.
segment.
It looked like a good cake.
It did.
It did. I'm going to agree with that, but it did look like one hell of a cake. And I think they're starting to find their niche without Brody Lee. I think they are going to go for lack of a better term, the New Day route. Let's have good matches, but let's go out and just have fun. The hell with it. And see where it takes us. Because that's what happened with New Day. They didn't click. The whole gimmick didn't click at first. I'm sure a lot of people didn't think it would work. I loved it because they were heels, and I have a soft spot for the heels. And I thought it was hilarious. But it really did evolve into something bigger than those three expected. And I think that's the way they should continue going with the Dark Order. Just have fun. Go out and have fun. Who cares? You don't have to be mega heels. You don't have to be mega baby faces either. Just go out there, be yourselves, and have fun.
Is that being soft, as Taker would say?
Ryan, what do you think? Am I a horrible person for saying that it's a pity thing at this point? Again, I feel horrible about it, damn it. But I got to ask the question.
Horrible. Don't feel horrible about it. I mean, we saw what MJF had to tweet out about the kid. But, I mean, But no, I mean, I appreciate everything AEW is doing for the kid and the family. Because like McCarthy said there, I mean, this is the hardest thing the 8-year-old kid could ever go through right here. And I appreciate what they're doing. It's nice because they do seem like a really tight family. The whole AEW roster does. So, I mean, it was a nice gesture for them to do. I'm glad to see that they're doing something with the Dark Order. I hope that they continue to do something because when I heard about the passing of Brody Lee, I was worried that the Dark Order would just kind of get lost in the shuffle and not happen anymore. Like we would see them now because of everything that's going on, but I figured they would get shuffled out. But it doesn't seem that way right now. So, again, sure, the celebration was what it was. They did keep it short and sweet. So, I mean, it didn't really overshadow too much. But I agree with you, Logan. I do see what you're saying.
I'm sorry, folks. I know I'm horrible. I'm going to hell. Adam Page declined to join the Dark Order. What are your thoughts on that? And I'll start with Mr. McCarthy for obvious reasons. Adam Page not going to be a member of the Dark Order. So what's next for the Dark Order? Who the hell's going to lead this thing?
I don't even know if they know yet. I think someone's just got to come out from the group, or as I said, when all this first happened, when we lost Brody Lee, is take Dustin out of the Nightmare family and put him in the Dark Order. If we're talking about a leader, someone with the experience level of Dustin Rhodes, and like I said when we talked about it the first time, could you imagine that face paint in purple? It looks legit in blue, but man, he would look legit with that purple face paint on, and tell me I'm wrong. He probably did more than likely.
Be pretty
big. Might have. I don't know. There's a lot of. He's had so
many
big
different
league,
colors.
No matter what. But I thought this was spot on. I think it's what we need to do with Adam Page. He cannot, like I said last week, or maybe it was the week before, he cannot join another group. I don't want to see Adam Page in another group. We've been there. We've done that. Keep evolving as a character. And what I like the most about it, aside from the making it seem like he was proposing marriage to a girl and got turned down, was you could tell that character-wise, Adam Page didn't want to say no, but he knew. And like he said, I can't join another group. I've done that. I've been there, done that. How long has it been since Adam Page has grabbed a drink after a match on TV? It's been months. What did he do when he turned down the Dark Order because he considered them friends? Grabbed that bottle of Jack real quick. Now, hopefully they don't go back to what they were doing before, because I think that part of his character development is done and over with. He doesn't need to be quote unquote drunk all the time on camera, but it shows how much he cares about the individuals in Dark Order and how he considers them friends, but he can't do the everybody watch my back, I watch everybody else's. He's got to be selfish here, and he has to stay selfish. Adam Page will never win the championship until he stays selfish as a character and only worries about Adam Hangman Page. Adam Hangman Page can beat Kenny Omega for that AEW championship, but not with the Dark Order. He has to do it alone. And that's character development right there. He has to prove that he can do things on his own, because he couldn't do it. When he was in the tournament with Jericho, he couldn't do it on his own. You know, you look at it, he didn't beat Chris Jericho. No one was out there with him. The only title he's held in AEW is the Tag Team Championships with Kenny Omega. Once again, nothing wrong with being a tag team champion, but you have a partner that's not on your own. Adam Page can be one of the, cornerstones of the future of this company, but he can't do it with people behind him, because he's got mixtures of a lot of guys in his repertoire, and none of those guys made it big having somebody, behind them. Like, I can see a little bit of Austin in him. I can see a little bit of JBL in him. But neither one of those guys made it to the promised land with people having their back. They did it on their own.
Fair enough. So, Mr. Gnarly Napper.
Yes, sir.
Producer extraordinaire last 2 weeks. I don't know if that's a permanent position or not. I have no idea. But
I'll take it.
What do you think? What's next for the Dark Order? And then what's next for Adam Page?
I liked this segment. I did think at times it was a little bit too... You all right over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Combined with the celebration, I thought it was a little bit hokey, a little bit too much. I get it. They are going for that New Day, and I agree with Jason. I think that's the way to go with this group, is to go kind of the New Day route, be more goofy, more kind of just fun. And we've said that about AEW quite a bit recently, and I even mentioned it, I think, last week, that they're good at being the entertaining company. They're good at being the entertainment show when compared to NXT. So they're definitely doing that correctly. I'm glad he said no. I'm glad, like Jason is, that Adam Page is getting to still be in his own storyline and not messed up with some group. Not to say that they can't make that work, but we've seen it already before. We don't need to see it again, like he said. As far as what's next for the Dark Order, I honestly have no idea. I agree with Dustin. I think that would be great. If not, then I think you go the route of no leader. Just everybody, or we make -1 the leader and make it really funny and really hokey and just go the whole 9 yards. He's already kind of taken the mantle. He's thrown the papers. He's already taken the title. I think he should be the leader. Other than that, Johnny Hungy.
He's Johnny Hungy.
Johnny Hungy.
So, he's whipping behind him with that kendo stick. There's no doubt about it. We'll see on all that. Ryan, what? And the millennial anxious cowboy, what do you think of him turning down being a member of the Dark Order, and what's next for the Dark Order?
I'm glad that he turned the Dark Order down. I was really hoping he wouldn't join. I just hope this isn't a swerve to where later on down the road at maybe like Revolution he decides to join it. So I hope he does, as McCarthy said, stay selfish and not join, because I think he needs a singles run. I mean, he's great in the ring. He can talk on the mic too. So, I mean, the guy deserves to go on his own. He's been down this road before multiple times, and now it's time for him to take care of himself and be that top star that he can be. As for the Dark Order, I was thinking what Travis said. Maybe -1 can be the leader for now. I mean, he's already out there with them every single week. They seem to like worship around him. I know that, we're just got him on there for now because of everything that he's been through. But, I mean, they seem to listen to what he says. I mean, he's even gotten involved. He's hit MJF with the kendo stick. He's got the TNT title, the old one now. So, I mean, give him a little run till they can possibly figure it out. Let him do the thing and let him have a comedy act for now.
Might be onto something, Revolution. Might be onto something. Something. Ooh, yeah. Something, baby, something. You're gonna need.
Are we just gonna run through the whole list of impressions?
You're gonna need something, baby. You're gonna need a little something. Well, damn it, we're gonna need something, pal. All right. Okay, damn it.
Let's get this back on track.
All right, pal. All right, let's talk about.
Is it ever truly on track?
Nobody asked you.
Shut up, baby. Look, you're going to need to shut up. Just sit back and look. I'll drive this train into a ditch. Into a ditch, baby. All right.
I can't tell whether you're trying to do Dusty or... Never mind. Doing the hand thing. Huge.
Oh, this is huge. I'm going to drive this thing into a ditch, baby, and we'll see what happens. All righty. The only tag team that shouldn't have won this match won this damn match.
Are you really shocked?
I mean, was it
Chris
a different doubt?
And MJF won the Inner Circle Tag Team Challenge. Damn it.
Oh, so that's why you were mad. Okay. I have contacts now.
But McCarthy.
I think it should have been Sammy Hagar.
I mean,
stop it.
The Red Rocker shows up to hype his new favorite tag team, I Can't Drunk 55. Shows up and hypes his new tag team. And look, Proud and Powerful should have won this match because they were the OG tag team. Sammy Hagar should have won this match because the Red Rocker showed up. Van freaking Halen hypes it up. But Jericho and MJF win because of course they do. McCarthy talked me off the ledge. Why'd they win this match? They don't need it. He's Chris Jericho. He might be the greatest of all time. And MJF, he has 2 diamond rings for Battle Royal, for God's sake. I remember when you had to go to a Hall of Fame to get 2 of those. But McCarthy, why?
Buddy, I wish I could talk you off the ledge because I don't know. I truly don't. And I'm the self-professed Jerichoholic of To the Turnbuckle, and I don't understand it. I wanted Proud and Powerful to win for the same reason you said. They were the OG tag team. What are we even doing right now?
Selling
and I don't
intrigue.
Are they gonna fail to win the tag team titles and then MJF takes over the Inner Circle? The only way this works is if they never tag again, because MJF is going to weasel his way with these little backstage segments that he's been doing. He's been getting closer with everybody else. He didn't believe in you guys. He brought you in, but he didn't believe in you. I believe in you. We can do this without him. That's the only way this can go. And it needs to happen sooner rather than later. The Inner Circle is already getting too big. And now we're going around and, I love seeing Jericho on my TV, but he's stealing spots from people that need it.
That's just old hat, brother.
Sammy Guevara needs to be a face like tomorrow. He's got face written all over him. All over him. His whole style screams babyface. He's only a heel because, well, he wore the panda thing, and then he joined the Inner Circle. You don't remember the panda headgear, Travis?
No,
I see the look on your face.
The panda headgear.
Oh, I can never.
Yeah, when he first showed up in AEW, he had the panda headgear, so
I
that
remember.
makes you a
I
heel
remember
right
the.
there.
I remember the
But
drawing of Brandy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Woo!
But yeah, I mean, he's got a. He could be a face all day long, and that needs to happen. I think the Inner Circle would be just fine with MJF, Wardlow, Jake Hager, and Proud and Powerful. Because MJF doesn't care about tag team championships. Come on. It's Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He cares about the title.
And you know it.
He's better than you, and you know it. Well said, Ryan. Well said. And I'm not gonna bully Ray this thing and freak out about the last 5 minutes. Because yes, you do have to have some semblance of control when you have these matches, when you haven't said, oh, this is no DQ, this is tornado tag, blah, 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 however you want to spin it. But also, it screams to how big the guys in the match are. To the point where the best referee in the company can't control the last 5 minutes. Like, let's look at it that way. Because those are some huge stars in that ring. And Aubrey Edwards, I don't want to say by far, but she is the best referee in that company. Let's not just trounce on the fact they didn't tag out at all in the last 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and go, you know what? Maybe that was the plan. Not even Aubrey Edwards could control this. Because let's go in the Wayback Machine. There were times when Earl Hebner was a referee in matches like this that he couldn't get control. It happens. Should they have just called it a tornado tag team and called it a day? Probably. But also, referees lose control. More often than not, it's in AEW and tag matches. I will be the first to admit that. But even in WWE, WCW, TNA, Impact, and New Japan, referees lose control sometimes. These are phenomenal athletes that beat the crap out of each other for a living. They're gonna take control of a matchup, and sometimes do you want to be the referee that calls a disqualification on the littlest things like we freak out about in football games? And I know it's scripted and predetermined and there's a story.
Watch your mouth, sir.
But we also want to get pulled into the realism, and it's a little more real when behemoths take control of something and the referee can do absolutely nothing.
Well, you tried to talk me off
I
the
think
ledge,
that was it.
and it just, I'm just baffled.
Did you keep walking?
I don't think I tried.
No.
But
I think he's just pushed.
Yeah, he kept.
He gave you the finger poke of doom off.
Ryan, what do you think of this? What'd you think?
Well, I figured that this is the team that was gonna win. Do I think this is the team that needed to win? Obviously not. Proud and Powerful needed to win this match because they were the first tag team in the Inner Circle. So it just made the most sense. But I mean, when you got Chris Jericho and MJF tag team together, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do with them. I think they might push them all the way to the top of the tag team division, just like we saw Hangman and Omega go there for a minute. But it shouldn't have been these guys, as much as I love both of these guys, because I'm with McCarthy here. I love MJF and I love Chris Jericho. I'm always going to want to see them on my screen. I think they're great for the company, even with Jericho still getting older. But it wasn't the right decision. And yes, this match was just a mess. My roommate and I were sitting there watching it. We're like, who is even the legal person in this thing anymore? We're not seeing tags. We're not seeing anything. So yes, there was no control over this match at the final 5 to 10 minutes or so. So it was just a mess. And I mean, it was a little cheap finish, if that makes you feel any better. I mean, he got a little roll up and grabbed the tights. So I mean, it was a cheap finish for you. They did. It was. Yeah, how many times did you have to hear, we got TV time limit coming, TV time?
before the match even started, they said it like 3 times.
Exactly.
And America, just real quick. Ryan's a Patriots fan. I'm a Dolphins fan. But yet we managed to get along. Take a lesson from the two of us.
Absolutely.
That's my PSA for the Loganites out there.
Why can't we be friends? The Young Bucks had a conference.
Because you like Goldberg.
Exactly.
What'd you say?
Say it
I
louder.
answered the why can't we be friends question.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on.
I was just
All right.
You're all.
We'd like to remind you that you're listening to Score on Air Network, and you can check out all our other great shows each and every day here on Score on Air Network. Deshaun Isaac is rebranded. He's doing the Gridiron Show now. Thursdays 4 to 6. Sports Unfiltered, Futures TBD. But you be sure to check all that out. And as always, we'd like to remind you that if you need a custom-made shirt or a custom-made cap, you'll want to give a call to Mojo Sports Gear at 614-864-6656 or check them out at the website, www.mojosportsgear.com.
I tried.
They do a custom-made shirt. It's pretty big league. It's pretty custom-made, big league, head to toe. I like it a lot. Check them out. Check them out today. All right. The Young Bucks had a confrontation with Don Callis because we're walking into Kenny Omega's house and Kenny Omega's not there. Makes sense. And I love the Young Bucks for pointing out all these logical fallacies during the entire time we're shooting this thing. You know, they were pointing it out. He's not there. He's not there. Well, he should be here. It's only his house. And then it essentially ends with Don Callis going, you guys are holding him back, and so you've been loyal soldiers, so let me write you a little checkaroo. And tries to buy off the friendship of the Young Bucks. And then later on, he's got a shiner in the show, and Kenny's all upset, like, oh my gosh, you got punched? And who did this? Well, Matt and Nick. Damn, accidentally said it. And so what do you think of all this, McCarthy? Where's this going? Why would we have a... First of all, you're telling me that Kenny Omega's going to leave his house completely unlocked?
I mean, Don Callis was there.
Yeah, because he's a trustworthy fellow.
And really, the only other security he had was Nakazawa.
Yeah, Nakazawa just hanging out.
Yeah.
Was he his security or was he the secretary?
I can't either, so
tell.
who knows?
Well, he was coming off the elevator, is all I know.
Which begs the question, what was he doing in the elevator?
Does he just hang out in the elevator when only Don Callis is there?
Elevator, I might do it.
Look, Don Callis once worked for ECW, and anyone that got hired by ECW is a little sketchy. It's just how it had to be back in those days. It's just how it had to be.
I mean, wow.
I don't think any of that roster remind me saying that, to be quite honest with you.
Probably not.
So, where's this heading, Mr. McCarthy?
Honestly, which this is a good thing, I don't know. Because I find it hard-pressed that the Young Bucks actually hit Don Callis. Like, even in storyline, like, I could see him getting pissed off, pushing the camera down, and leaving. I could see this as a lie from Don Callis. And that can drive a wedge between him and Kenny Omega. Because Don Callis said he never lies. Never lies. Always tells the truth.
But everybody dies.
Well, right now, as far as I'm pretty sure you're lying to Kenny Omega. And I think that's what they need. Are they going to split up because of it? No. But I think it's going to make Kenny Omega's character even better as the cleaner. Because he can maybe he will step away from Don Callis over time when it's revealed that that was just makeup on his eye. Even though it probably was makeup on his eye. But let's go kayfabe and storyline and say that he faked this whole thing. They left. He made the noises. Oh, my God. And then he put the makeup on to go to the arena and tell Kenny Omega that his once best friends beat up his oldest friend.
Well, was he
It's old school heel stuff to do that to everybody because he's claimed himself he's a master manipulator. Well, why wouldn't he manipulate Kenny Omega? He's known Kenny Omega almost Kenny's entire
was he
life.
COVID tested in between all that? I mean, he had to go back to Kenny's house and then drive to the arena. I want to see him take a COVID test live on the air.
I give him credit for commitment.
All right. So, yeah, I don't know where this is going. I thought, damn, this is a long little promo right here. Yeah. Like, we are really going through his whole house.
Yep.
We are really going through his whole daggum house. Any thoughts on this, Ryan?
We went all the way through the house. I was wondering where it was going. Eventually, I was hoping he would be there. I'm like, we went this far. He's got to be sitting somewhere. It kind of seemed like they were walking to a trap, but I guess they were walking in to be paid off to not be his friend anymore because they're holding him back. But I don't know where it's going unless it is going to be, and I know McCarthy doesn't agree, but Young Bucks and Omega going against each other. That's the only thing that makes sense, but who knows what they're doing with this. It was a mess of a segment, in my opinion.
Well, and here's another thing. Like, because they turned that weird poster into a shirt. Who is that shirt for?
Callis?
Because I sure as hell don't want one, and I love Kenny Omega. I wouldn't be caught dead wearing that thing. Is it hilarious that he had that poster made? Sure. There ain't no way in hell this Kenny Omega fan would purchase
2
that
weeks later,
Kenny
he's going
Omega
to have
shirt.
that shirt on here, right here. 2 weeks later.
Next week, he's going to say that shirt just
What you don't know is he's ordering it right now on Pro Wrestling Tees.
I'll tell you what.
Hold on. Can you hear the clicks?
If Sting ever becomes world champion, you got to buy that shirt.
The Sting World Champion shirt? Or I have to buy that shirt if Sting becomes world champion.
And it ends up flying in your face because you like to talk crap about the old guys being champ. You got to buy that oil painting T-shirt.
Sting won't be world champion. You're good.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, I guess. That's a safer bet than our Patreon deal and our OnlyFans deal. So sure, yeah, I guess I'll take that.
That's about as safe bet as my NASCAR bet was earlier this year. Last year.
Ryan, this is my show.
Is it though?
Oh, I know. I had to throw it in there.
Change the name.
Yeah, it's true. It's our show. I have no power anymore. Great.
I'm safe.
I don't like you anymore, Ryan. We're not friends until like after Daytona.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Wrong show.
Anywho, let's keep moving here.
Yeah, let's keep it together.
Yeah, look, the stiffest worker in the room says keep it together. Okay? He's the bruiser for a reason. All right? Bruiser McCarthy. Oh, Bruiser.
Speaking of Bruiser McCarthy, Bruiser Jr.'s birthday is Friday. He turned
Happy early
13
birthday.
years old.
You had kids
Crazy.
at 70? I'm so proud.
Teenager.
I'll tell you what.
I tried, man. I tried. Ric Flair ain't got nothing on me, buddy.
I meant stiff in terms of wrestling, but turns out. All right, let's move it along. Cody Rhodes defeated Pretty Peter Avalon. Pretty Peter. Kept saying Pretty Peter. Pretty Peter. Boy, he's an ugly mother. He's ugly as hell.
That's not nice.
I don't care. It's true. But
I didn't say it wasn't. I just said it's not nice.
Peter Avalon is ugly as hell. So, I mean, he is ugly. He is an uggo. So he looks like a bulldog or something. It's weird, man. It's just those teeth kill me. Anywho, Cody Rhodes defeated Peter Avalon. Jade Cargill got involved because that's still a story we're doing, even though the woman she's feuding with is expecting, so we can't have a payoff unless we're going to do intergender matches, which, God help me, I don't want any of those.
Especially not those two.
Don't want any intergender matches. Sorry, Tessa Blanchard, if you're somehow watching, no, didn't like it, don't care for it. You might be the greatest woman wrestler in the world, but no, it's uncomfortable. It has no realism. It's just, no, don't want it. Pass, hard no, pass. That's, I don't want any of that.
And if you are watching, hi.
Hello, come on the podcast and I'll tell you why we shouldn't have intergender matches. We should not. I just don't want it, no. I'd like to take a moment and just address the fact that none of these guys feel the same way I do. I speak for thyself.
I mean, I do agree with that.
I agree with that.
I mean, I don't want intergender matches.
Congratulations, you speak for everyone.
No.
Turns out here at To the Turnbuckle, I speak for everybody in this case. I'll tell you. Oh, dadgum, happy holidays.
We're friends
All
again.
right.
No, not yet.
Anywho.
Because let's be honest,
I
I
didn't
didn't buy that pay-per-view that she won that title on. It didn't make me want to, oh, yeah, she's going to win the title. I didn't buy that. I bought the Kenny Omega pay-per-view. I didn't buy that
I mean, let's be honest. Tessa Blanchard's a better wrestler than Kenny Omega, so you should have bought that one.
Ouch. Wrestles a broom one time. One time.
But he cheers for the finger poke of doom.
I know,
Hold
right?
on, Ryan, what'd you say, buddy? One more time.
We gotta go on. What's next on the list here?
We haven't talked about the nonsense that was Cody Rhodes and Peter Avalon yet.
Let's talk about that quickly. This should have been a standard match that went 10 minutes so we can see what Peter Avalon can do. Instead, it was commercial, and it was Jade Cargill getting involved. It was Cody getting kicked in the balls. I mean, tennis balls.
Are you sure he did? Because I can't tell.
Tennis balls. Tennis balls. And moth balls. But why are we continuing this story? Like, we have to scrap this. There's no proper payoff because Brandy is expecting, and that's great. I hope I'm praying it's a healthy childbirth and all that sort of thing. We have to scrap the story for now. It's kind of a duh. Let's actually watch Jade Cargill, I don't know, work, wrestle, do something that involves something other than standing there and looking delicious. But it just doesn't work. It makes no sense.
I got the perfect payoff. After Brandy's done having the baby.
Right, which is like 9 months from now.
Fair.
6 or something. I don't know.
Once
Math
we get
is
to
hard.
that point,
whenever
Jade Cargill is in the hospital, comes out of nowhere and hits her over the head with a
bedpan.
You couldn't even get it out all the way.
With a bedpan. With a bedpan. I'm with you. And she steals the kid on the way out.
I still think we should try to redo that gimmick.
Look.
At least.
We should try to redo that segment.
Then tomorrow, Cody Rhodes, host of the Go Big Show, or star on it and all those things. Cody, one of the greatest athletes in the world, he's going to respond to Shaq. It's been like 6 weeks. Yeah. He took you 6 weeks to respond to what looked like a lifeless Shaq. Did somebody slip him an Ambien before he got on the air? What is... This is one of the worst episodes of Dynamite I've ever watched. No, it's not any good. Not this week. Sometimes they're way better. But this time, it was like Tony and Vince got together and it was like, hey, Raw's going to really suck. You want to make sure Dynamite really sucks? And let's just have a suck-off. A suck-off, pal.
You can't say that on TV.
McCarthy, you have the floor. I quit.
So, yeah, this one. I won't. There's a part that I'll let Travis discuss his displeasure in this matchup. My issue is you want to be so much different that you don't make the obvious finish the finish. That bothered me the most because this should have been like more of a straight up like 5-8 minute match between Cody Rhodes and Peter Avalon. First, Cody putting his foot in his mouth once again, saying that he could beat Peter Avalon in under a minute, just like he did with his open challenge with his TNT championship and got destroyed by Mr. Brody Lee. But Jade Cargill should have came out 8 minutes in, distracted Cody Rhodes to take the low blow and the quick roll-up victory for Peter Avalon. It wouldn't have hurt Cody Rhodes at all to lose a match that way. But in 2 minutes, Jade Cargill comes out and you do a finish that should have been the finish, and it wasn't the finish. That's my biggest issue, because you don't want to have finishes like that, because that's what WWE does. Let's be fair. I haven't seen WWE do a finish like that in about 8 years, so they don't have that excuse. They have the non-finishes these days, not a hit a dude in the balls and roll them up real quick finish. They haven't done those in forever. I think that would have been a perfectly acceptable finish for this match. Give Peter Avalon, you're already trying to give Peter Avalon a rub if he's wrestling Cody on Dynamite. Why not just give him a victory? Like I said, it's not going to hurt Cody Rhodes at all, especially because he didn't beat him cleanly. Like what's the harm in taking the loss? And now I'll leave the floor to Hot Wheels Travis Napper to give us his thoughts and what he disliked about this match.
Well, the one thing is definitely, like he said, it's the fact that the finish that should have been the finish wasn't the finish. Also the fact that, agreed, it should have been just a straight-up match. There was no need for an interruption. But what he's referring to is the fact that he took the shot to the jewels and then got back up. What man in human history? Sorry, I'm going to be a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Probably graphic. Facetiously
graphic, damn it.
He left the jewels in Brandy's purse.
Wow.
Yowza. Oh.
I don't even think I should finish my thought. That was pretty good. No, he takes his shot and then gets back up. That drives me absolutely insane. You don't even, not only is the finish bad, you don't even sell the biggest part of the entire match that was supposed to be you getting taken advantage of because you got kicked in the jewels. What are we doing here? Trying to make a complete car wreck of this entire match? Because congratulations, you did exactly that, because you did absolutely nothing in this match that had any purpose whatsoever.
It was an absolute cluster muck, and it's a shame because Cody Rhodes is so good, but I don't know if he didn't get enough sleep. I don't know what happened. But exactly, you got kicked in the family jewels. I mean, he's trying to make sure you only have the one kick. And the only thing that Cody bothers to sell is the knee. The only thing he bothers to sell. He goes down like a ton of bricks for like 2 seconds. And look, I got news for you, folks. As a male, if you get kicked or hit, accidentally stepped on by a pet, however it may be, in the gonads, it's going to hurt for a long, long time. You ever heard Rocket Man, how Elton John says, I think it's going to be a long, long time? Well, when you get stepped on or kicked or hurt in the gonads, it hurts for a long, long time, like 10 minutes at least. And you start to dry heave, you don't feel good. It just, match. All of a sudden, there's problems everywhere.
I don't feel good talking about it.
I don't either. So Cody, I mean, he bounces right back up, and he sold it properly when he went down. It was just, all right, it's been 30 seconds. My gonads are jewels of steel. He was like, suck on that, Vinnie Mac. How you like these lemons?
The royal jewels.
Like, he does say that there can only be there's more than one royal family in wrestling. Well, apparently his grapefruits are much better than Vince's, is what we established here. His grapefruits here this early in his prime of life, oh man, his grapefruits are, look, he's like Randy Marsh walking down the street in South Park with a wheelbarrow, essentially. He's got a big old set on him. He's like your favorite dog.
Okay, that's enough.
So, he sells it just fine. And then,
I think we get the picture.
Well, actually, if you Google Randy Marsh wheelbarrow, you'll really get the picture. But,
don't do that.
Oh, don't worry. I can see the picture.
I don't want to see the picture.
I didn't have to
Google it.
Have you seen the
picture?
Unfortunately.
Have you seen the picture? So I have an issue that this, but in all seriousness, all right, I'll stop being a little facetious. This was a chance that we could have seen what Peter Avalon, despite his ugly mug, could do in the ring, and we didn't get that chance to see it. Instead, Jade Cargill overshadows it. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Jade Cargill is beautiful. I'll see a whole lot more of her. That's great. But let's do it proper. And again, we can't properly have the Brandy and Jade match that we were obviously building towards at some point this century. And then tomorrow, again, Cody's going to respond to Shaq. It's been 6 weeks. How the hell did that get lost on your calendar? Did you have that many waiting room visits? Is it? I don't get it. I just don't understand. It's like a stupid idea from a bad creative over there. What is going on at that sloppy shop?
Oops.
All right. John Moxley was back in action. He defeated what looked like the Geico caveman from back in the day. I mean, he was built.
Bruiser Brody's son, it looked like.
Nick Camarado. I thought it was first Colorado. I was like, well, I'll be doggone a son of the, a son of the mountains. Nice to see John Moxley back, and then he cut a promo about, all roads to wrestling run through him. Not really, but okay. That's just like Finn Balor going, this business watches you. Well, apparently they don't. Look at those ratings, buddy. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen,
It
baby.
doesn't happen, baby. It's not happening, damn it, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Prince is a liar, pal. Watches him. Look at those ratings, pal. My ass, pal.
Even after that, he has to say pal.
Pal?
Look, I'm just saying, lies. What do you think of John Moxley being back in action, his first match since having the title screwed from him 7 ways from Sunday? Lay it on me, Mac Daddy, Mr. McCarthy, Stiff Worker Bruiser. How are you?
So I thought it was a good match. Like, I like this Nick Camarado guy. Like, it was just him and John Moxley going at it, and it was an easy way to keep us marks from yelling about John Moxley, pushing somebody down the card by taking a victory. Yeah, it was a given he was going to win, but this might get Nick Camarado, I almost messed that up there, a job. And I think that might have been the whole reasoning behind this. And I like how he was like, nobody in that locker room was man enough to take this match. It puts John Moxley on another level as far as no one really wants to fight him except big, rough, guff, Bruiser Brody's son or nephew or whatever you want to call him, because the resemblance is kind of uncanny. But it wasn't anything special. It was kind of your standard John Moxley brawl at this point. But I'm not saying that negatively, because when you look at the body of work, when Stone Cold Steve Austin was at the top, that's all his matches were. There's guys that get by on the brawls. Some guys just do it differently than others. But it didn't get people tuning in. Maybe it's because no one knows who Nick Camarado is. Or maybe it's because it was John Moxley in action. But we have no idea what he's doing.
Yeah, people like me take action all sorts of different ways. But we'll move her along here. Lastly, for AEW Dynamite, Matt Hardy and Private Party. That's right, big money Matt Hardy. That's a thing now for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
Big money. Matt Hardy, yeah, he's been a top draw. No doubt about it. I mean, this guy putting butts in the seats. That ECW World Title run's real memorable.
I mean, nobody's really doing that right now, though.
Couldn't you play along?
No, not really.
He's right, though.
Thank you, Ryan.
Well, Ryan, since you felt the need to speak up,
Aha!
what'd you think of Big Money Matt and Private Party defeating Matt Sydal and Top Flight?
I mean, it was a solid
like it.
match. I mean, it was kind of forgettable.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the parts that I just kind of brushed over and didn't pay
Sounds
too much
like
attention
this
to.
was
So
a crappy episode of Dynamite, people.
This was a crappy match.
This was crappy. This was a crappy week in wrestling. Raw was kind of crappy. SmackDown was kind of crappy.
No, it wasn't.
Raw was better this
pretty
week. Yeah, I enjoyed SmackDown too.
Oh,
I did too.
That's
I
fine.
like
Well, I didn't put it on the rundown for time's sake. Wait till we get to 2 days. All right. We got to go 2 days. And this guy. All right. Thai fish are looking and showing me food. I'm hungry and I'm fat.
Where's mine?
All right. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take our next break.
Oh, boy.
Wait a minute. McCarthy, you didn't give us your thoughts on this match.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys were so busy telling the truth about it. I didn't think I needed to. There was two. All right, so Private Party is obviously going the heel route at this point. Why are you flipping everywhere? Why? Heels don't do that. You're the jerk that teases it and then doesn't deliver because you want people to boo you. And it had no rhyme or reason behind it. At least when you see luchadors flying around the ring, there is a rhyme and a reason to what they are doing. Private Party's just out there doing flips to do flips. And it wasn't even well done. Like, there was a spot where one did a backspring, backflip into the other one who did a moonsault that didn't even connect. Like, it wasn't even well done. And if they're gonna be heels, they need to stop. They don't need to flip around. They are heels. You're cheating to win at this point. Why are you trying to pop the crowd of the, 500 people that are allowed in the arena right now at Dynamite, or however many people they're allowed to have? What are you doing? And you would think of all people, Matt Hardy would tell them that. He's not really in real life their manager, agent, or whatever, but they're obviously together a lot, or else they wouldn't be in this group as it is right now.
Even Matt Sydal, really, because he's got the experience.
Yeah. Well, and when Matt Sydal flies around, there's a rhyme and a reason and a purpose to what he is doing. He doesn't just do crazy flips to do crazy flips. He never has.
That's kind of what drove me nuts about these last two matches. Both of them just kind of were not technologically sound. They both were just kind of, Yeah, because
fair?
the first, the Private Party and Top Flight match, I mean, obviously too flippy.
Too flippy?
The Nick and John one, it's like he was abusing Nick basically throughout the entire match. Nick got some offense, but he's a giant beast, and he's kind of getting manhandled by Jon Moxley. And then passes out in a sleeper hold in 30 seconds? You're a huge dude, and you passed out at 30 seconds? Come on, seriously? I'm supposed to believe this giant guy is going to lose to Jon Moxley that quickly by a sleeper hold.
Look, and just to give a roundabout rating of Dynamite, I played video games during it. It couldn't keep my attention. That usually happens on Raw.
I give it a D plus.
Okay, C minus.
I give Raw a D plus too. So
it was better than last
all right.
Raw.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take our next break, which will probably be our last break, because why not?
Yeah.
Before we go to take a quick break, we would like to remind you that we got plenty of specials coming up here over the next few months for this lovely podcast, To the Turnbuckle. We're going to do a special series, boys and girls, special episodes on the most controversial moments in wrestling history. And we're going to start it out with the finger poke of doom. And we're going to debate. We're going to take our side. We're going to decide, should that be done? Was that really the beginning of the end of WCW? This summer, this spring, that's going to happen. I'm serious. We're going to do a whole 2 to 3 hours on Hogan. Finger poke of doom. We're going to debate all that. I can't wait for McCarthy and I to probably have to press charges against one another. It's going to be great. It's really going to be a good time for the whole.
Why? Because Hogan thought he was bigger than the business and thought it was a good idea to poke Kevin
Save
Nash
it for
in his
the
chest
show, dude.
and take the title from him.
Kevin Nash was booking at the time. Nash booked it. But anywho.
Don't care.
We'll
trying to
talk
suck up to
about
his
it.
friend.
But
Don't
yes,
care.
that's going to be some of the great debates that we will have. Other stuff that we're going to talk about in that series. The infamous Montreal Screwjob. Who should have ended the streak? Who should have ended Goldberg's streak? We're going to talk about all those things. This summer, as we do special episodes, because we got big things coming up, folks. But with that, we're going to take our final break. Next break, we come back. We're going to hit a little NXT. But we've got some debating to do, and we've got a Raw to cover. So we'll hit NXT. But there's a whole lot of yelling going to be in this third hour. One thing I promise you, and this is the last thing. This third hour going to be far more entertaining than any Raw third hour you've ever seen. I guarantee you that. This is To the Turnbuckle, presented by, who the hell is this presented by, Napper?
I believe it's Mojo Sports Gear.
Let's take a break.
Welcome back, everybody. Fight pit match.
Way to go,
I know,
producer.
right?
That's all right. Accidents happen. So what'd you think of the fight pit match?
I did like it. I thought the right guy went over. I like how they're kind of making this special to Timothy Thatcher, a la what they did with The Undertaker and the Hell in a Cell. But my only big critique of this match really is with the commentary team. I kind of didn't like how they kept trying to put the match type over. Like, they kept trying to make the fight pit seem like this big structure that change, like they did with the Elimination Chamber, how, to change careers and stuff like that. They really tried to emphasize that a lot in this match, and it just got so repetitive while they were on that scaffolding or whatever it is. They just kept repeating it over and over again. It's like, focus on the competitors. I want to hear more about them, not about the stinking match. I get it. It's a fight pit. It's really dangerous. It's really cool. It's dangerous, but they just kept harping on it. I felt like to a degree that took a little bit out of the match. It still was a great match. Physical, loved the finish, really creative, but that part really kind of annoyed me.
I got you. Well, I think NXT is missing something on commentary ever since Morrow stepped away.
Yeah.
There is just doesn't have the same oomph.
Well, no.
Well, he's hard to replace. Somebody with that type of passion, man.
Yeah, none of them really get that excited. Like, they obviously are good at breaking down the matches, but none of them get, like, up there with the matches, like with the calls.
The problem with, I think, the modern-day commentary in WWE is they all try to sound like Michael Cole.
Yep.
And only Michael Cole can do Michael Cole. That's why Michael Cole, it used to be that he was like a B-plus player compared to Jim Ross. And now he's a complete A-plus compared to the rest of the roster. That's just my opinion. And plus, I think it hurts because I think Cole produces a lot of the commentary now.
Yeah.
And so I think it kind of comes off natural to sound like him. I think that hurts the product. All right. For time constraints, we got to move it along. AEW won last week's Wednesday Night Wars, 854,000 to NXT 659. AEW had a 0.36 in the 18 to 49 demo. NXT had a 0.15. Really solid numbers for both squads, especially AEW, when you consider the inauguration and all the coverage that had, and plus starting at 8 o'clock, and they had the inauguration concert and things like that. Really solid numbers.
They had a concert?
Yeah, they did.
At the inauguration,
Yeah. Really solid numbers. I think both squads, but especially AEW, should be really happy with this number.
I do have one match. Can we cover the women's tag match just really quick?
Yes, sir.
No. Come on. We got to cover that.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
What'd
Go
you guys
for
think
it.
of that
I love
match?
Tony Storm. Yes, please.
I thought the match was great. I don't know about you guys.
I thought it was good. I think Casey and Kaden are two of the most underrated women on that roster.
Absolutely.
They really have it. They're just not getting that opportunity. I mean, they did get the W here, but it'll be interesting to see if they have something that clicks with them. If Triple H and company has real plans for them. Do you think they do? What are your thoughts on the match?
I think if they don't win this whole tournament, it's kind of a bust, to be perfectly honest. And then that's not a knock on the rest of the women. I just think they work so well as a tag team that if they don't win it, yeah, there's times for this tournament to have, finishes that have a story and stuff like that. I think for this particular tournament, to take women's tag team wrestling seriously, something they're not very good at doing, but to take women's tag team wrestling seriously, they need to just have the outright winner, the one that we expect to win. because at some point they've got to show some kind of love to women's tag team wrestling, because this was a heck of a match. The only thing with this match was I didn't like Io Shirai getting involved. I felt like that kind of took away from it. It's your first real look at this tournament, and you have an interruption in the middle of the match. I felt like that took a little bit away from the match.
All right. Well, like I said, for time constraints, we're going to move it along.
Yes.
We're going to have a little debate here. We're going to have a little debate.
All right.
We're going to have a little debate.
Yeah.
You know, there's been something, wrestling folks, wrestling Twitter, all you fine, gentle dudes and ladies. There's been a lot of talk last few days. It's gone a little viral. There's been a few articles written on it by publications. There's been a debate. It was started by WWE on Fox on their Twitter. And I believe the tweet said it was like rank them.
Yeah, rank 3 guys. And the 3 guys were...
I thought it was 4.
Four.
Four. There's 4 guys.
4 guys. And it was Hogan, Austin, Rock, and Cena.
All right. So I thought we would partake in this viral thing because, look, we are on the cusp of wrestling Twitter. Give us a follow at To The Buckle.
To
The Buckle. Give us a like on our Facebook page, To The Turnbuckle. And we're on the cusp of all these big hot things. And I want to start out, and I want us to give us our top 4 out of those, that Mount Rushmore, if you will, of professional wrestling. And King of the Hill, I'm going to start with you. I want your top. I want you to rank them, and then you don't have to explain as you go along. But when you're done, tell me why you ranked them that way. So you go ahead,
What?
Mr. King of the Hill, and give me your 4 out of, it was rank them: Hogan, Cena, Rock, Austin. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
Mr. King of the Hill, you have the floor.
All right. So number 1, I'm going to go Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm going to go at number 2, I'm going to go John Cena. Number 3, as much as I love the guy, I put him at 3, The Rock. And then 4 is your buddy, Hulk Hogan. I'm going to agree with Travis here. That's my 4. Austin, obviously, I'm going to put him at number 1 because he led throughout probably the biggest era in wrestling here in the Attitude Era in the Monday Night Wars. I mean, Austin did he was the catalyst to get things going. Everybody tuned in to see Austin. Everybody wanted to be Austin. And then number 2, I'm going to go Cena because he's carried the torch really ever since Austin and The Rock have kind of parted away. John Cena has carried us into the PG era. And, I mean, he is gone now, but John Cena has put WWE in places that we've never been before. And then I'm going to go Rock here. He was second fiddle to Austin. I mean, I love the guy. He's one of my all-time favorites. But he wasn't the top guy overall. But he did do a lot of things for WWE, open doors in Hollywood, even though a lot of people don't like that. And then at number 4, I mean, Hogan. I've just never been too big of a fan of Hogan. Unpopular opinion for you. But he has done a lot, and I respect everything Hogan has done. But I've just never been too big into Hogan. He's like 3 moves, and he's done. And Logan is not happy.
Mr. Gnarly Napper,
Yeah.
give me your top 4.
He actually already said it. He
He's already
agrees
dying.
with me because that's actually my top 4 as well.
Do you have any reasons you'd like to give for those?
Same as his,
Okay.
actually.
Mr. McCarthy, give me your top 4.
All right, I'm gonna do this as quickly as possible so Logan can have an aneurysm live on air for as long as possible. I love you, buddy. All right, so Austin 316, number 1. The most electrifying man in sports entertainment, number 2. The doctor of thugonomics, John Cena, number 3. And then that guy that couldn't make it in Hollywood, Hulk Hogan, number 4. and here is why they are ranked that way. If it wasn't for Stone Cold Steve Austin, we would not be having this conversation right now. I started watching wrestling because of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Plain and simple. The first time he came out as WWF champion in a suit to screw around with Vince, I was hooked. And then I watched his body of work and saw how he got over organically. Of course, I was 12, so I didn't understand getting over organically then. But when I look back at it now, I saw the process. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was number 2 because of one of the things Ryan said. He opened a lot of doors to other avenues for other wrestlers to make even more money. And at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. Making money and making moves and taking steps to better yourself and better your family. And he had some wars with Mick Foley. And I saw him get over organically. WrestleMania 12 was terrible. Tried to shove him down our throats as a babyface, and it didn't work. He found his niche in the nation and took over. John Cena, well, come on. It's John Cena. There were just, when he was champion, I wasn't a huge fan of John Cena because for the same reason that Ryan spoke about Hulk Hogan. Now, was he doing what he was told, John Cena, when he was the 5 moves of doom? Obviously, because after that, when he did his U.S. Championship Open Challenge, there was no 5 moves of doom. Those were legit matches. No, now it's 6. Not in the time frame I was talking about, sir. And then Hogan would have to be 4th. Personally, for me, I grew up in the 80s. Wrestling. My friends down the street, my closest friends as a child, were huge wrestling fans. Did not care. Hulk Hogan never resonated with me. Ever. Ever. I'll be honest, regardless of what he's done, he wouldn't be on my list anyway. Ric Flair would be on this list, and Hulk Hogan would be removed. Of course, it would be a completely different list if we had Ric Flair in it, but that's just my personal opinion. Hulk Hogan couldn't grab me. Never did. So he's not going to go above the guys that could. And now it's time for Logan to freak out.
Cue aneurysm in 3, 2, 1.
I don't know if I've ever been more disappointed in you 3 gentlemen. Because
that's actually a shame. We have to do better, guys.
I know. Well, first, allow me to give you my 4. Number 1, and then I will explain why, and then have the aneurysm. Okay. I'll put you under the same constraints. Number 1, Hulk Hogan. Number 2, John Cena. Number 3, The Rock. Number 4, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I might have an aneurysm with that list.
Yeah, that was hard.
Hold on.
He gets to have the first one.
I get to have the aneurysm now.
Yes.
Because I don't look. If we talk Raw, great. If we don't, we don't. I don't give a damn. All right. I think what you and all those people are everyone, because I see on Twitter, I see the smart marks. I think you're all factoring who he is as a human being or who he was as a human being into your ranking system. Because rank them as far as who had more impact on the business, it's not even close. I can't, whether by hook or by crook, I can't think of another wrestler that's been the top face of 3, count them, 3 separate companies, WWE, WCW, and then Impact. Should he have been? Fair or not. But nonetheless, he did. Hell, without him in the NWO, there's not a Monday Night Wars, because I don't give a damn if you went Mabel, and I don't give a damn if you went Icon Sting. They're not drawing dimes compared to Hulk Hogan in the 80s and 90s. Hell, we should all be kissing it. Vince ought to be cutting him a check out of that $1 billion, because without Hulk Hogan, you ain't getting Peacock, brother. You ain't getting Saturday Night's Main Event, brother. You're not starting that whole situation, that whole NBC Universal deal. Hell, he's the catalyst for the reason wrestling became what it was. That's why. That is who he is. Yes, is he a questionable human being? Certainly, with the backstage politics. There's no denying that. If I said people on this list, it's Cena, Rock, 1, 2, depending on who you talk to, and then what do we like, a politician who's made racist remarks, or do we like a domestic abuser? We're not talking about people here. We're talking about the impact on the business. And when he goes in his grave, Hulk Hogan has made more impact than anyone has ever dreamed of. Whether that was fair, whether that was by politics, no one else comes close. He was the face of 3 different companies. He made you talk about him. He made you go, what's going to happen here? Did the Monday Night War fail for impact? You're damn right. But it was Hulk Hogan that even thought of it. It was Hulk Hogan that made it happen for WCW and the NWO and Sting and others. But I'm saying without him, it doesn't happen. And he helped create the sonic boom. And so for everyone to put him last, because I've seen so many people put him last, it's not a people thing. Who gives a damn? You can have your morality contest when you stand up there with the Lord. But when you talk about pro wrestling and you talk about a Babe Ruth, it's Hulk Hogan. And if you don't understand that, then you're letting yourself be biased. And if you think that's not true, then get a psychologist. Hulk Hogan deserves far better than he ever got as far as ranking goes because of his impact. Yes, it's a shame that he fails morally as a human being in a lot of ways. We can talk about that all day long. But his impact is why WWE is going to get $1 billion from Peacock and Austin and Rock and Cena too. But without him, there's no Saturday Night's Main Event. Without him, it doesn't happen. Without him, WrestleMania doesn't take off. He slammed Andre. For God's sake, he's the whole reason he brought the entertainment to sports entertainment. Hell, he's like Black Sabbath. He created a whole damn genre of professional wrestling. He is it. Okay, I've had my aneurysm. Number 2.
Oh, man.
Number 2, John Cena showed incredible loyalty for 15 years and is still trying to. He's still trying to. Was that everything I cracked it up to be, by the way?
Yeah.
Aneurysm?
Yeah.
Hope y'all enjoyed that.
Pretty much.
That's pretty good.
That's what we expected.
And he
Definitely
is
getting clipped.
He has carried the ball. He has carried the ball for the better part of 15 years until Roman Reigns, and now he's busy in Hollywood. And all the stuff he's doing, Make-A-Wish, no one has done more Make-A-Wishes. And as far as just being there day in, day out for the longest stretch, only he and Hogan can possibly compare. I have to put The Rock higher than Austin because The Rock opened a lot of doors through his Hollywood career. Now, do I think he's the biggest sellout walking as far as it goes? Yes, but people did associate with him at one time with WWE for that action. Now, he's so caught up in Hollywood, that's gone south. Don't believe me? Don't believe me? My girlfriend's mother, my fiance's mother, Peyton's mother, said, oh, he was a wrestler? She didn't even know because he's been so caught up in Hollywood the last decade. So for a long time, it did open doors to WWE, and I do credit that to him. And, oh, he was damn good at what he did. Absolutely, he was. But it's gone so far south that he's almost no longer associated with WWE to the average human being. Number 4, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Unfortunately for Stone Cold, yes, he was the only one that got probably hotter than Hogan, but it only really lasted 2 or 3 years. Because by 2002 in the What era, he was really the second face of the company and Rock was number 1. He wasn't in the top feuds anymore. Don't believe me? The Rock wrestled Hulk Hogan. Stone Cold wrestled Scott Hall. It's not the top feud at the time was The Rock and Hogan. This isn't to kiss Hogan's ass. I did that plenty a minute ago. I'm saying that for about the last year of Austin's run, he was replaced as the top guy in many facets. And no one else on this list can say that once we got the ball, by hook or by crook, they were replaced. Didn't happen. So everybody, number 1, I know Hulk Hogan's Terry Bollea is a questionable man. I get it. We can talk all day long about some of the comments he's made and his foolishness as far as why he thinks the new roster gives him the cold shoulder, and taking the spot, brother. No, that's not it, Terry. I'm afraid to tell you. But his impact can never be overstated. His impact is why there was a WWE network. Not him entirely, I'm saying, but he's the catalyst. He's it. He's the catalyst for closed circuit. He's the catalyst for pay-per-view. And then he helped sell the fact there's going to be a network. And then now his catalog helped sell the fact that there's going to be a deal on Peacock because, of course, the damn press release said all the archive footage of WWE and WCW. Name me one other wrestler, boys and girls, and this is rhetorical. You don't actually have to unless you'd like to in the comments, and I'll prove you wrong. He's been the face of 3 separate major organizations in wrestling, due to politics probably. But still, in WWE, he was the face, certainly. In WCW, during his time, he was the face, certainly. And then in his time in Impact, he was the face, certainly. So I don't know what else to tell you people, except don't allow your opinions on Terry Bollea the Man to dilute the fact that the reason you ever flipped on professional wrestling in some way all leads back to the immortal Hulk Hogan. I'm done. See you later. It's time to talk about something else.
Would anybody like to retort?
Hogan didn't get me to tune into wrestling.
Me neither.
Me either.
Stone Cold.
Which company did you first see?
Stone
Which
Cold.
company did you first see? What was the first company you watched?
WWF.
It's a personal list.
No,
it's
what
a personal
was the
list. It
company
doesn't
you first
matter
saw? Nobody asked
what
you.
company you first saw. Of course, it was
WWF.
WWF. Of
Then
course.
he
But here's the
certainly
thing.
helped that.
It's a personal list. And I think my list is justified because Hulk Hogan never made me want to watch professional wrestling, even when I was a child. The demographic that got him over. Don't chastise me.
Chastise you.
Chastise
I'm
Hulk
chastising
Hogan.
all the
He
wrestling
could-
Twitter.
he-
I'm putting
he
y'all
could-
in there in a big
he
bowl.
could-
I'm not chastising you. It ain't
He
personal.
couldn't grab me as a child in the 80s to be a pro wrestling fan. So therefore, he didn't fully do his job. Credit where credit is due.
On that.
He put wrestling on the map, but not for this wrestling fan.
Or this one.
It has nothing to do with the terrible person that he is, because Stone Cold Steve Austin, in his history, is not that
I
better.
don't think Hulk
You
Hogan was a
mentioned it.
terrible person
It
at
has-
this stage either. I think that's unfair. People can change.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it had nothing to do. It was my personal list about the impact they had on me in my wrestling fandom. Hulk Hogan didn't have one. I didn't even flip to the channel when he was in
You keep
NWO.
wanting to hurt me. You
Did it
keep
get-
wanting to
did
hurt
it
me.
get
Why do you
my
want to hurt
brother
me?
and his
Because it's
friends
great.
to watch wrestling?
Content.
Do you love me at all? Do you love me at all? Look at my face. It's really red.
I bet. Hold on, there's a time delay.
I'll show you a time delay. All right. Well, boys, was that everything we cracked it up to be?
Absolutely.
Am I going to go viral?
I hope so.
I hope so, too.
At the end of the day, enjoy what you enjoy. It's all wrestling. We all love it. And
And you be
Have
sure,
fun.
and for all, and this is my final thought on this, and we're going to move on to Raw. Fair?
Yes.
One last thought. Here's the last word. If you have any doubt about his historical impact, when you subscribe to Peacock on March 18th, you go ahead and type in the name Hulk Hogan. You'll be there a while. He's got the most of those 1,700 hours. You can stick it, brother. All right, I'll see you. Let's talk a little Raw.
Over that.
That was more horrible than that debate.
that was raw.
Let's talk a little Raw. Let's talk a little Raw. All right. In all seriousness, let's talk Raw. Drew McIntyre and Goldberg, they showed up out there. Goldberg, the old classic war drums. God, I love that entrance. It gets me fired up every time. You know, I don't know. It drew a little thing called money.
That's the only good thing about him.
Wow.
It's the entrance.
That's serious.
Oh, for God's sake,
was
have
pretty
MJF
serious.
draw 1,000,000 people then talk to me. So Drew McIntyre and Goldberg
will.
kicked off Raw, and it was a big old. Essentially, it was going to be, it was Goldberg did what I think Goldberg should do, and that's not long-winded. I'm a father promos. I think Goldberg, no matter how he's used, whether it's proper or not, I think he should come out and go, boom, you're next, ball game, right? I think that's how Goldberg should be used as a character now. And, Drew was about to talk, and then all of a sudden, The Miz and John Morrison out there, just their Money in the Bank butts.
Correct.
And so they both took out Miz and John Morrison. They didn't lay a finger on one another. They did stare real close, and I was like, this is awkward because the guy just tested positive for COVID. But we completely ignored that.
Correct.
What'd you think of this segment, Mr. Napper?
I really love this segment. It actually got me interested in the match because it was quick, it was short, it was to the point, and it was better interaction-wise than the first time these two guys got together. It actually got me pumped up for the match because it was just, it was them being physical. The only thing is I actually kind of wish they'd had a match. The way this was setting up, you almost wondered if they were going to do the old shtick of, challenger and champion have a match together by the end of the night, main event, and beat up some tag team. I actually would have enjoyed that. I think, granted, he only gets 2 a year, so we can't waste one of them.
Go ahead and
because that's all he'll agree to in Selbert Bill.
But I was actually kind of hoping this would turn into a tag team match because the way that he set up the promo, like tonight, Sunday, you, me, you're next. I was expecting him to continue but tonight, you're next, and look at Morrison and Miz. I would have been like, all right, let's do this.
I love your caveman Bill impersonation.
Thank you.
Great.
But other than that, it was really great. The only thing that concerns me, he looked a little winded after he gave the spear. He looked very winded. I've heard a couple of wrestlers break down that segment. He looked a little out of breath going up that ramp, which concerns me to how this match is going to go. Because we're probably only going to get 2-3 minutes.
Oh, yeah, if you expect anything else.
I think we should.
Not with Goldberg, you can't.
Why?
That's not even an age thing. He just doesn't work long. It goes against his...
And Drew McIntyre isn't AJ Styles, no matter how much we love him. Come on. You can't get a good 10-minute match out of Goldberg.
This goes...
Who can't?
If guys like Kevin Owens and Bully Ray can put on great matches in the shape that they're in, why can't Goldberg?
It's not that he can't. It's that, I think that his body is conditioned, number one, period, to do short matches because he's had very few actual long ones. I think even losing to Hogan was 10 minutes. He had Halloween Havoc when he beat Diamond Dallas Page was 10 minutes. That's the most he does is about 10 minutes. And so he's had that his whole career. And now at 54, it just... You're not wrong, but I'm saying Kevin Owens still goes out there and does it.
Yeah.
And I think that at best, you get 10 minutes here. That's at best. Probably.
I'd take 10 minutes. Give me 8 or 10, and I think this is...
Does that include the entrances?
Absolutely.
Okay, then probably.
So we're getting 3 minutes.
And I don't know which way this is going to go. We'll make our predictions here in just a minute.
Yeah.
But that's just who he is. And... I know we all debate on whether, you guys feel very strongly about Goldberg and go the hell away and stay away. I feel very strongly about, anybody seen the ratings, let's use a guy that has some drawing power if we can. But at the end of the day, no matter where we stand on what Goldberg has left as a drawing power, none of us are deluded about what he has left in the ring.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the segment. I think for people I've heard some of those criticisms well, if you think you could do better, buddy, go give it a shot.
Yeah.
He is he looks much better at 54 than most people that were criticizing him. I don't mean as far as being blown up goes. I'm saying a lot of those people that criticize him, including myself, I don't want to be seen in a pool without my shirt off. So I'll pass on. That's why I jab at Jericho playfully to aggravate McCarthy, but I really don't give a damn about what kind of shape Jericho is in physically because guess what? I can't do any better. So I wish fans would sometimes keep that in mind because, like I said, most times fans like myself, when we're criticizing someone else's weight, I'm not going to go to a public pool and take my shirt off, let alone go wrestle in front of millions. So I'll pass on criticizing that. We'll see what he's got left in the tank. I don't have high expectations for that match, which means hopefully it'll surpass this very low bar.
Yeah.
All right. So we have to talk about, before we move on to our Rumble predictions, what do you guys think of what's going on with Alexa Bliss and the fact that she's got more personalities than Mick Foley at this point? The goddess is still in there apparently being tortured, and now there's this essentially fiend-possessed version, and then there's just this fiend-fascinated version. Is this too cinematic-y for you? Because it is for me. What do you think of all this? McCarthy, what are your thoughts?
Well, first I'm going to shock you because I didn't get to talk about the opening segment, and I'm going to agree with you. This is how you use Bill Goldberg, regardless of whether I want him in the title match or not. This is how you use Goldberg. Even I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And I don't say that a lot about Goldberg stuff. I mean, Goldberg and Brock Lesnar I did. Now Goldberg and Drew McIntyre I do. Because they sold it properly. Regardless, I still don't want them in the title match, but it's already done and booked and signed for, so there's nothing I can do about that. But that was perfect. I love this version of Alexa Bliss with the multiple personalities and the craziness. And I mean, she's from Ohio, so I'm going to kiss her rear regardless. I don't mind the cinematic as much. I said, stop it, Travis.
He was talking to me.
Oh, that's fair. I see you in time delay. It's not fair. But I kind of wish they would have just had a finish, because now we don't get to see Asuka wrestle for the women's title, probably, because she's already in the women's tag team match, which should never take precedent over the world championship, men or women. Sorry. I love tag team wrestling, but why do we have the women's tag team championship on a card and not the Raw women's championship?
We don't even have the SmackDown.
It makes no sense. They put these belts on two stars that could be world champion instead of mixing it all in a little bit. We're just going to have one tag team match that nobody cares about because of who Charlotte Flair and Asuka are wrestling. Now, you give me Charlotte Flair as a champion versus Shayna Baszler, that piques my interest. Or Asuka versus Shayna Baszler, that piques my interest. I don't care about the women's tag team match. So I think Asuka and Alexa Bliss are getting the shaft come Royal Rumble, whether Asuka's on the card or not. The focus is no longer on the main women's title, and that's a problem.
They're kind of in a. They booked themselves into a corner.
Great choice of words.
I tried. They booked themselves into a corner because they have to.
You good?
Yeah, I will be.
Yeah, what just happened, producer?
Because of the fact that they have two Royal Rumbles that they have to get through. So at this point, what do we expect? They're not going to try to give any sort of real matchup to the two women's titles, because to them, they're going to save that for another pay-per-view that doesn't have two matches that are going to probably take the majority of the whatever 3-4 hours that they're going to have for this pay-per-view anyway.
So I see your BS and I'm calling it. Because when was the last time Asuka defended the championship on a pay-per-view?
Night of Champions.
Go ahead. I'm waiting.
On the last pay-per-view?
No.
It's
been a long, long time.
It's been like September.
I think Night of Champions.
Probably.
I think Ryan's right. Well, what do you think of the cinematic Alexa Bliss? What's going on here, Ryan?
Oh, I absolutely love this Alexa Bliss. I know you're not too big into cinematic stuff, but I think this is probably some of the best work that Alexa's done. I mean, this puts her over the top. I mean, she's probably the one part that I actually tune in and enjoy of Monday Night Raw right now, week in and week out, even with the fireball incident that we had, which was crazy. But outside that, Alexa's been on a roll. I'm excited to see them go with her. I'm excited to see her and Asuka tear it down whenever they finally get the full time to do so. And these time strains with the TV time, I get it. But I feel like they rushed themselves into this match. They could have saved this for the Rumble or another pay-per-view. We'll see what they're thinking. But I'll go back to like McCarthy did to make you a little bit happy here. I also enjoyed the Goldberg segment too. I felt like it was perfect. That was what I want to see out of him and McIntyre right now, because these two are two guys that I'm just like about right now. I like McIntyre in the ring, but his character as a champion just isn't working with me so much. But this was perfect for these two. And now I am excited to see the match on Sunday night.
I'm disappointed in both of you. We were supposed to give him an aneurysm for the whole show, and you guys just... I'm disappointed.
I have to give credit where credit is due. You don't give Goldberg much credit. And
I really don't. So, yeah, he's not wrong. I kind of did.
All right, we're hitting some high spots here because we're running short on time. How about Edge announcing that he will be in the Royal Rumble? Ryan, what do you think of this? Edge going to be back in the...
Yeah, I was kind of shocked. I mean, I didn't know Edge was going to be on there. I don't think anybody did actually. But I mean, I thought it was a typical Edge promo where it was really well thought out. And I mean, Edge is one of the best at speaking, and I'm excited to see him back and healthy. So we'll see what they do with him. Last year was great, and this year we're going to know that he's already in it. So I'm excited to see Edge on Sunday.
How about you, Mr. Napper? What are your thoughts? Edge declaring for the Rumble.
I know a lot of people were upset about the fact that they kind of spoiled it. I don't really see the point in trying to make it a surprise 2 years in a row. You already know that he's got a contract. You already know that he signed for a couple of years. Yeah, I know he's injured, and there was speculation that he might not come back at all because of the fact that he's injured. But he signed a contract. He's there for a little while. It's not a surprise to anyone that he was going to come back. And so for him to come back at the Rumble, it wouldn't have been that much of a surprise. Plus, here's the thing. A lot of people are kind of crying about the fact that there's not a lot of surprises at this year's Rumble. Who are we going to have a surprise for? The imaginary crowd that's in the Thunderdome? Like, the surprise has always been for the live crowd. It's never really been for the crowd that's at home. It's been for the live crowd to get the pop so that when you're watching it at home, you feel that energy because, oh my gosh, it's you-know-who and whatever. There's no crowd, so they're piping in the crowd noise. If there's going to be any sort of pop for any surprise, it's going to be crowd noise, and it's not really going to matter that much anyway. Mm-hmm. So there's really no real reason to have any sort of surprises. I'm sure they're still going to have some that they haven't announced, but there's really no reason for it. So I had no problem with him announcing it. I thought it was great. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I want to see, more than anything, what they do with him, because Randy's in the storyline with The Fiend. We already talked about it. So what are they going to do with Edge up to this point? Could he win it? I don't know. I'm excited.
Well, you'll make your prediction here in just a minute.
Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts, McCarthy? Edge in the Rumble, announcing it beforehand.
I'm excited that he's in it. I'm not surprised that they announced it beforehand for the same reason Travis said. You're not going to get the same type of feeling at all if Edge just surprises us by coming into the Royal Rumble because there's nobody there. And we've talked about the pre-recorded fans in the Thunderdome because we can't have nice things because people are jerks. So it's not even going to be an organic reaction from the Thunderdome screens. So why have Edge be a surprise? Just announce it. Get that especially for people that fell in love with wrestling because of the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. That's a seller for them.
I have to.
Now they might.
I have to agree. I think that's your best bet. Right now, you're not worried about the big crowd pops. You're worried about network subscriptions and buy rates. And I think you want to sell your pay-per-view as much as you can. Think about, and they're doing that. They're doing that to the best of their ability because usually Goldberg, part of the mystique of Goldberg is the crowd chanting Goldberg. Well, currently that isn't happening. It may at the Rumble with piped-in noise, but right now the worry ought to be ratings, and the worry's got to be buy rates and subscriptions. Other than that, sorry, we don't need big time, like maybe one, but you're right. Without the crowd there to really enjoy it, and even if there was a crowd, you don't want to do the same thing 2 years in a row.
Yeah, oh, it's Edge again. Yeah, he's back again.
So last thing for Raw, then we gotta do predictions. Charlotte Flair confronted Lacey Evans and Ric Flair. Of course, I had to do it. Woo! She lost a match earlier in the evening, and she had what felt like a very real promo with the Nature Boy. Talking about, because Flair was showing Lacey Evans' moves, like wrist locks. And, and 16 time. And Charlotte walked in, made Lacey get out. And Rick said, just because you're a big star now doesn't mean there's not a place for me in this dressing room. If somebody wants to, take some of my wisdom, I'm glad to pass it down. And he goes, I'm still me. I'm always going to be me. And Charlotte, very real, it felt, said, yeah, the guy who spent all his money on everything but his family. And that got I was like, oh, it got real in here. And I thought it was so visually well done because it was like if you take away the fact that they're father and daughter and obviously two different genders, it was like staring into a mirror at one another. It was like Ric Flair staring at a prime Ric Flair, and it was like Charlotte Flair staring at what you could become if you hang on too long and take a story. I thought it was magically done. I always get a little cringeworthy when Rick's real-life shortcomings come up, especially because I know he's sorry about that. He's made that very clear, like in documentaries and things, and he cries all the time. And that's what I worry about with this angle. I love this angle because Ric Flair's on TV, and more Ric Flair. Look, I'll take 1,000 more Ric Flair appearances at this stage than a Will Goldberg. So believe me, I want more Ric Flair. I'll watch Ric Flair at nearly 72, much more than Kenny Omega. He's much better, I promise you. But my point with this is that I always worry about Will in his head, because he isn't, like we talked about a few weeks ago, he is not nearly as good at keeping with it's a work and not getting in, because he's a very sensitive guy. We all know that. Ric Flair, Richard Flair the man, is a very sensitive fellow. And I just hope that he didn't, get all in his head with that line, because he did that with Bischoff. Bischoff and Flair were originally supposed to be working each other on, well, we know there's some heat there, but let's have a feud. And instead it turned into, fire me, I'm already fired. You're a low-life son of a, it got real. And then plus, I thought, the insult she went for wasn't actually correct. She should have talked about how he wasn't there, because by all accounts, he bought for his kids plenty. By all accounts, he bought for his kids plenty. What he missed was being there, Christmases, birthdays, volleyball matches, because he was on the road being Ric Flair. But by all accounts, every Christmas, it was like, holy Moses, Santa brought a sack. So that was the only thing I thought is, yes, I enjoy the realism of it because the best angles have a realism to it. But I thought, talk about the fact he's not there. Don't talk about the fact he didn't buy for you, because that's not true. Because he did buy for them. I know, because Ric Flair's been very honest about what he did and did not do. And his kids have said that he did provide money-wise. He just didn't provide in the physical sense because he was never there. What are your thoughts on it getting so real, Mr. McCarthy? And are you like me in thinking that it was the wrong insult to go with? Yes, talk about the fact he wasn't there, but she didn't talk about that. She talked about the fact that he acted like he never spent money on his family.
Well, I think it was more in kind to where he doesn't have any money and he can't comfortably retire than never spending money on his kids. But yeah, I think it would have cut a little more deep if she would have been like, yeah, you were never there. Shut up. Why are you trying to be here now?
Right.
Kind of a thing. I think that would have gone over a little bit better and felt like it cut more deep.
And I thought Flair was going to cry right there. I was like, damn. And I just, you hate to see your shortcomings brought up because we all love good time and Nate. We all love that idea of, it's just that we forget that unfortunately, there were casualties to his lifestyle, and that's 4 ex-wives, and that's his children. Ryan, what do you think of this promo?
I thought it was really solid work. I agree with you. They probably could have talked more about him not being around as opposed to the money situation. But then I'm also wondering how much longer are they going to drag this out? Because at the end of the segment, when Lacey came in and hit Charlotte in the back with the women's right, you saw Rick kind of stall and look at Charlotte with a little bit of a sympathy look for her, wanting to check on her before Lacey pulled him out and went down the hallway. And then they went on cheering their woo and everything else. So kind of wonder how much longer are they going to drag this storyline out.
To know if that was what was meant to happen with Rick at this stage.
Yeah.
Because did Rick just have a moment of, that looked like it hurt?
Or he couldn't get over Charlotte enough, quickly. So
he's like, let me stand over her and kind of
get my balance.
Kind of declare domination or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's always tough to know if that was what was, because Rick he's not anymore. He's not, all right, step, 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 boom, boom, boom. He cannot do that for whatever reason. It's always, it looks a little too real. It looks a little too this and that. It can get uncomfortable seeing him be so fragile and real. We'll see what happens, but I think this drags out a while longer. I don't think you start doing this without having a big, long plan. I think this goes to at least Mania, to be honest. We'll see.
It should.
All right. You have any thoughts on that before we get to the Rumble predictions?
No, the only thing is that I don't think it really mattered what the insult was. I think it was more so the delivery that Charlotte gave, which I think made it work, even though it was maybe the wrong insult. She did a great job of delivering it anyway, which she's not really known too much for her promos, so it was an improvement for her. It was really nice to see her give that realism because, it is her life, so it worked. It didn't really matter what she said. You could tell it was real, and you could tell it was an actual personal feeling, and she delivered it really well.
Absolutely. We'll see where it all heads. We'll see how long Ric Flair's on TV. Again, more Ric Flair, the better, people. Like, if you don't agree with that, I got nothing for you. All right, let's make our Rumble predictions and get the hell out of here. This could get testy. All right, Women's Tag Team Champions Charlotte Flair and Asuka versus Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler. I got Flair and Asuka. It's kind of obvious, even though they need to have the belts off them. Don't put it right back on Jax and Baszler. How about you, Napper?
Yeah, I agree.
You, McCarthy?
Same.
Ryan, who you got?
Agree. All across the board, I agree.
Universal Champion Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. Last man standing match. I got Roman. Napper?
Roman.
Who you got, McCarthy?
Roman.
Ryan? All right, buddy.
Roman.
Now, with the Women's Royal Rumble match, who you got, Travis Gnarly Napper?
Rhea Ripley.
Who you got, Mr. McCarthy?
Io
Who
Shirai.
you got, Mr. Ryan Hill?
I'm going to go Alexa.
I'm going to go with Rhea Ripley as well. I just think it makes the most sense. If not, my other dark horse candidate is Ronda Rousey. We've seen her training in a wrestling ring a lot recently. I think that she's on her way back. Who knows when, though. They'll probably save a full crowd for that moment.
Do we think
Yes.
Becky comes back this soon?
Yeah. I'll bet Vince was in the delivery room.
I agree.
Oh, we got stuff to do.
With
I
the
believe
Instagram photos and everything,
He
yeah.
was probably like, induce her sooner.
In there. So yeah, I'm gonna go Rhea Ripley, but don't be surprised if it's Ronda Rousey. Just saying. All right, the men's Royal Rumble match. Mr. McCarthy, who you got?
I got craziness going on right now. I say we do a repeat of WrestleMania 10. Bryan and Cesaro hit the floor at the same time, which leads to Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns and Cesaro versus Drew McIntyre
That'd be
at
something.
WrestleMania.
Mr. Napper, who you got?
I'm going to go a little bit out there. I'm going to say Mustafa Ali.
Okay, Mr. Ryan Hill, who do you have?
I'm going to go AJ
Styles. All right, that'll be interesting.
He's never won one.
I'm going to go with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I think with the fact Mania looks like it's going to have a crowd, he's going to come back. Mania is going to have like at least 60,000. I'm gonna go Lesnar. That's my kind of off the wall pick. But if it's a regular roster guy, Daniel Bryan. All right, finally, it's time to predict the WWE Championship match between Drew McIntyre and Bill Goldberg. Ryan, who you got?
It pains me, but I don't see Goldberg coming back to lose, so I'm going to go
How about
Goldberg.
you, Gnarly Napper?
I'm actually going to take Drew McIntyre.
Well, Mr. McCarthy looks a little indisposed, so I'm just going to tell you 3 words. Spear, jackhammer, ball game. He will get the one title that has eluded him his whole career, and I'm ready for an aneurysm from McCarthy next Tuesday.
You know what that means? Where is McCarthy? Jason.
McCarthy, we're live.
Jason.
McCarthy, we're live.
How dare he? I bet he's going to pick Drew anyway.
That'll be
There
nice.
he is.
Mr. McCarthy.
He can't hear us yet. Now he can.
Mr. McCarthy really had to pee. And
You're muted.
Not anymore. I'm not. Yeah, I really did.
okay, those bangs are going through him.
I know, right?
All right.
I almost made it the whole 3 hours this time.
So Ryan picked Goldberg, Napper picked McIntyre, and I, of course, picked Goldberg. Who do you got? Drew, Goldberg.
I mean, Drew McIntyre.
All right,
I hope
we
you're right.
shall see. We are tied at 2. We'll let Vince McMahon be the tiebreaker. It's time to say goodbye. Quickly, I do want to make note, speaking of Vince McMahon, we send our condolences to him and his family. His brother Rod passed away. So we hope we keep the McMahon family in our thoughts and prayers, and we hope he's doing well. I'm talking about Vince, especially with all the things he's got to deal with.
Yeah.
Didn't stop him from making $1 billion, but our thoughts and prayers and condolences go out to the McMahon family. And we'll let him be the tiebreaker of who's going to win between Goldberg and Drew McIntyre. Loganites, it's time to say goodbye until we meet again. So long, farewell to you, my friend. And with this, I'll leave you. Spear, jackhammer, ball game. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, Loganites.